Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. My name is Jesse. This is Joe, and it is a Friday night, and we are live.
On our 13th live stream.
It is our 13th.
Friday the 13th.
So. Yeah, it is lucky number 13 for our live streams. And Dooster says he can hear us loud and clear. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been a interesting couple of weeks with the holidays and everything. I'm sure everybody's just run down and tired and ready to get over New Year's Eve and start 2023. I know we are definitely excited about starting 2023 and all of our upcoming projects and expeditions that we are going on. And it's definitely time to hit the ground running. And I hope that all of you hit the ground running in 2023 as well.
Did you see the comment that I put up from Kaiju Ninja? Would be cool if you could play the Howling 2 theme.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We love that song.
We actually tried to find who had the rights to it. Because I figured it's the Howling 2 soundtrack. How expensive could it be to get the rights to it? It's like in limbo. Somebody owns the rights to it, but it's just hard to find who it actually belongs to. But
yeah, if we could get the rights to use it, I would love to use that, and that'd be like one of our theme songs. But we listen to that every time we go on a road trip. We listen to the Howling 2 theme song. I think last time we went to the LBL, we listened. We played it like 50 times on the drive up. So
anyway, this is a little out of sequence for us. It's we didn't do one Monday because of the holidays, and we've both been battling like respiratory stuff for like the past few weeks. So we were hacking and sneezing and clearing our throats, and we were just like, that's not going to be a good listening experience for anybody. So you'll probably see a little bit of that tonight, but it won't be as bad as it would have been Monday.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's kind of fighting the cold, a cold or the flu or something right now. So 'tis the season for all of that. But we're doing okay. Yeah. We're making it through. Joe mentioned earlier that it seems like since we saw that portal thing or whatever it was, we've pretty much both been.
We've been sick from literally a couple hours after that till like today. But then again, a lot of people are sick right now with random stuff.
Correlation is not necessarily causation.
So,
but so.
Letitia's in the thing. Letitia Nunley had surgery this week. So
well, I hope she is on the mend. And
you guys send thoughts and prayers for Letitia there. So hopefully she's bouncing back and feeling a lot better. So anyway, so the for tonight, guys, like I said, this is out of the usual schedule that we follow. We usually do these on Monday nights, but since we missed Monday, we wanted to just do a brief one tonight. We're not going to go on like a 3.5 hour.
Yeah, we're not going to do
marathon tonight.
The marathon that we usually do on Monday nights.
We're actually going out this weekend to check out that spot where we saw the light. We couldn't make it out on Christmas like we wanted to because the roads were impassable. These are winding, kind of steep mountain roads, and they iced up.
Yeah, so, it was like -5 in one area up there.
And they had some light rain constantly that was just freezing. And if you live in the South, you know that we don't usually have the infrastructure we don't have a lot of plows and salt trucks through here. So when it freezes, you get black ice and the roads are just impassable. So tomorrow we're just supposed to deal with thunderstorms, but we've got rain gear. So we'll be out. We'll kind of limit the amount of equipment we can take out. But we've got some stuff that operates pretty well in wet conditions that we'll take out with us. We want to kind of scope that area out a little bit more, that we saw that light out. Check it out during the daytime. So,
and you guys know that we use GoPro Hero 8 Blacks, so we'll have our GoPros out. So we'll definitely have footage from that outing. Mm-hmm. We are working on that video of the portal expedition to get that out. We've just had to get through Christmas. You know how it is. Yeah. I know everybody at watching, you're all just ready for all the holidays to be done too, so that you can get some work done finally. Goshawk says, was Joe nice to you for your birthday? Yes, we went out for my birthday. We went out to eat, and then we did a live stream after. Yeah. But then on my birthday, I had to work, so I was not here at all. Yeah. I was at work for like 12 hours, so.
She got several boxes of basically outdoor clothing. That was your, Some women get jewelry and diamonds. You got
5'11",
5'11", and triple aught design clothing. So yeah.
Yep. So, but let's get rolling. I guess we want to kind of go over, this is kind of like our last show of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we should probably kind of reflect back on the year and where we've come with all of this, where we are going,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe how things have changed for us over the past year.
2022, everything seemed like it kicked into high gear for us over 2022. We were in LBL in the beginning of the year. We got some really good, I'm always hesitant to call it evidence because evidence helps prove something. Footage, audio, I don't buy, there's another word other than evidence for what we capture. Because again, evidence isn't, I mean, if evidence to me is like a body on a slab, you know what I'm saying? That's evidence. Video and audio footage and stuff like that, regardless of how good or bad it is, doesn't seem to be evidence to me, but that's just me. But
yeah,
let's call it evidence for lack of a better term. We got some crazy stuff with LBL, and then our investigation in North Georgia really just kicked into like high gear.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For us, it seems like the phenomenon will it has some pretty quiet periods, but it seems like we have activity, it drops down, but then when the activity picks up, it peaks up higher than it did before. And
it seems like
it's building.
It's changing too.
Yeah.
It seems like it's so varied. The way that the phenomenon presents itself seems like it's just evolving and changing. The more that we go out there, the more we interact with it, the more we come face to face with the phenomena and whatever this is. It seems like it's almost getting to know us in a way, and then it's kind of evolving in a way.
There's lots of theories out there. Some people say that the more you look into this stuff, the more likely you are to start experiencing it. Some people say that the more that you experience it, it's almost like you're marked somehow.
Yeah.
And then the activity will seek you out. I mean, we actually were talking about this over dinner time. We've gotten some pretty wild stuff over the past year.
Yeah.
I mean, none of it's that smoking gun, but when you look at it, we're going to probably do up a little best of 2022 evidence clip with just some of the thermal images we got, some of the audio that we got. We got that crazy audio. We'll have the video footage of that light that we saw. And we're like, when you look at it, we're kind of shocked at what we've been able to capture so far.
Yeah.
And we're not sure why that is right now. We don't know if it's because it's the simple fact that we're so mentally involved in this. Is that making us more open to seeing this stuff, or is it attracting it more?
Well,
or is it simply because we're the only ones out there at night alone with that equipment, and that anybody could go out there?
I think that's certainly a contributing factor, that you have to be in the location to experience the phenomenon.
So, exactly. So,
you have to be there to report it, and you have to be there to experience it. So, I think that's a big thing too, is that we go out there and we're out there amongst it, and we look for it
alone on foot with the equipment
in the middle of the night, know. So we actually go out there and do it and look for it. So I think that also contributes to the fact that it's ramping up. Do you have anything from the chat?
I do, as a matter of fact. Patricia, hi Patricia, Happy New Year to you. I would love to see you two do an investigation on the feral people of Appalachia. How does that tie in with that email that we just got?
That ties right in with that
email that we got.
Yeah, we just got a follow-up email. If you guys watched Screaming Lights and Supernatural Predators, at the beginning of that video, there is that email that I received about the screaming lights and them taking people. And that was in reference to the area that we've been investigating in North Georgia.
Now, keep in mind, we've seen lights up there. Now, nothing to the degree that we saw a couple weekends ago. And we've heard screaming, but we've never
seen them in
tandem like that. But this guy was insinuating that we would.
Yes.
And that there were people in the lights. And then we saw that light, and it looked like there were figures walking around it, or moving around it somehow.
So we've reached out to him several times and never heard anything back. And so we ended up I made that video, and I was hoping that if I just dropped the line that way, that maybe he would get back to us. I didn't hear from him forever. And then we check our email and he's followed up with us. Yeah. So there's been a follow-up email to that, and it seems like it's getting a little stranger.
Yeah, it's obviously the same person. Now, he asked that we not share his name, which we're not going to, but he did not say anything about not discussing the contents of the email.
Right.
And obviously he's watching our videos, because he led off with, "You didn't listen to me," from my last message. And it's funny that you mentioned that about the feral people of Appalachia. Because this email talks about there being wild people up here who do witchcraft. Basically wild people up in the hills that are doing witchcraft in this area. If you want to consider that feral people, he doesn't think that there's Sasquatch up there. When we labeled that audio that we had possible Sasquatch sounds, he is telling us that he doesn't think that Bigfoot exists. At least if it exists, it doesn't exist up where we're going to, wherever he's from. That he thinks that there are other and older things up there than Sasquatch that are causing this.
And this has been kind of the way we've been discussing this too, is we don't seem to get what would be considered typical Bigfoot type evidence up there. We're getting other stuff. We're getting other audio. We're getting the lights. We're getting all of this other stuff. And so I mean, I gotta believe him in some way about that.
Well, I mean, we were getting Bigfoot activity 20 miles from there. Yeah. And then that dried up. And that it was like somebody flipped a switch on it. Remember, it got real weird and then it just stopped. And we've gone back 2 or 3 times now, and that activity's never started back up again. And then we left that area and started checking out other spots around there. And that's when we stumbled across the area that we're in right now. And one of the things we were talking about last time we were out is, does the increase in activity in the area that we're currently in have anything to do with the ceasing of activity in the spot that we were previously in?
Like it's
chased it out, or because the activity that we encountered in that one spot, and that's the spot where we found that 4-toed footprint, didn't seem malicious. It didn't really seem anything. It seemed like it messed with us occasionally.
Yeah,
but it didn't have a malicious tinge to it. And the stuff in North Georgia, the spot that we're in right now, does.
Yes.
And that was one of the things we talked about, is that we wonder if the increase in the malicious activity somehow chased out I don't want to call it benign, because it wasn't benign, but it didn't seem like it meant us any ill. You know?
It's almost like the darkness spreading in the never-ending story, like it kind of spreads out and just swallows up everything. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. There's always with anything, there might be like a territorial dispute, or we don't know if it's a spiritual territory, or
is it just the fact that it's like
a
taint that's spreading, like some sort of, because the stuff up in North Georgia doesn't seem right or natural or friendly or right. It doesn't seem right. It seems like a bad, wrong place.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if that wrongness has chased. I mean, we're reading a lot into it at that point, but I mean, that was just one of the things that hit us when we were there last time. And we've got some really cool footage of us going through the fog. That's the night that we were out. Nothing happened that night. And we were just like, God, this area just seems dead now, where before it seemed alive. It seemed like there was stuff going on there. Even if we were out and nothing happened to us that night, the area still seemed like it had a presence that's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that struck us, is it gone now because of what's going on 20 miles away from here? Is it growing? Are we eventually going to start seeing similar activity further out from that spot? So I mean, I don't know.
I think it's good too that you and I go back to areas that we've previously investigated and compare what we're experiencing there to what we experienced prior to that, and sort of get an ongoing observation on these different areas and how things are evolving and how the activity is evolving, or if it's just ceasing altogether. I think it's really good that you and I get that data and go out there and do that and compare this. That way we can sort of get a lot more data points out there and maybe have a more complete picture about what's going on.
Joshua Fonzie asks, will we return to Corpsewood? We would love to return to Corpsewood. There are a couple of hurdles that we have to figure out first. more so than any other place that we've ever gone to, there is more of a human occult presence there than any other spot we've ever gone to. And what's funny is it's weird that you can get online and there were people going there doing like photo sessions, you know what I'm saying, you know, in the ruins of Corpsewood Manor.
There's like a goth girl who did her prom dress shoot
and
there.
The only thing I can think of is that maybe it wasn't that bad then, or maybe the people are going in and they're just oblivious to it. You know, I mean, there was a lot, man. I mean, we found those empty pet carriers, the fire ring set up, all the symbology, the people that we ran into. And that's the one thing that's got us most concerned is
the human element.
The human element of it. And what we're really worried about is that you can't take your vehicle only so deep in there because the roads are just too bad.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to leave our vehicle and then hike in a few miles in, and we're worried about leaving our vehicle there. We're worried about it being disabled or messed with, or I mean, these are malicious people up there.
Yeah,
and
they're definitely like some of the sketchiest people I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, again, we're
walking down that road.
We're not people who, you know, we're used to a certain degree of sketchiness. You know what I'm saying, in our lives, so we don't say that lightly. But it's a sketchy area. The best way to do it would be to go up there with multiple people and leave a group of people with the vehicle. And then the rest of us proceed in on foot. We just don't have those other people, unfortunately. So because there's a lot going on up there, man. There's a lot going on up there. So we want to go, and obviously we take a certain amount of risk when we do this. But up there, we need to mitigate the risk, so at least we are able to get out. Not only to mention that we're going to have a vehicle with a bunch of several thousands of dollars worth of equipment in it. Because, you know, we use different equipment during the day and then we have to re-gear up for nighttime. That's a consideration. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go up there and get footage and then basically just go, all right, guys, well, that's it. The channel's over with. Everything got stolen. So once we kind of figure out a plan to address that, we will definitely be getting back into Corpsewood Manor, because I think that would be an amazing investigation. Very dark, but I have a feeling that there is a ton of stuff going on up there.
Yeah, so. I mean, we absolutely have to get back in there. Like you said, it's a logistics issue and a safety issue, but we're definitely going to make efforts to make that happen, because I think that we would be doing a disservice if we didn't do it. So William Kennedy says, video with bluff charge or whatever that is called made a believer out of us. That was the real deal, showing the danger that is out there. Super great job. That was 100% real. Yes. So reflecting back on 2022, in March, we released a video, Bluff Charged by a Bigfoot. And that was taken in that area in North Georgia where we've been going. And at this point, I'm willing to say that I'm starting to believe our anonymous emailer about the fact that this may not be a Bigfoot situation, but I don't know. We don't know. We've not laid eyes on exactly what this is. We have audio recordings, we have personal experiences, but we just don't know what this is. But in that video, that was also the video where that's the one where you left me.
Yeah.
No, that was Hunter Becomes the Hunted. Bluff Charged by a Bigfoot.
I'm pretty sure I've left you a couple times in the car and come back. So yeah.
Yeah. But in that video, I was in the woods there. Joe is behind me over here looking at a mound or something. And then something crashes through the woods at me and I scream. And of course, Joe like jumps in front of me and draws his gun. But you can hear me scream, and like you can hear it in my voice that I'm terrified. I had like an adrenaline dump at that. So that was like really, really terrifying.
Yeah, then we got whatever it was. It sounded like a freight train, then it just stopped, and you never heard anything move away. I couldn't see anything in the brush there. We went out, we hiked back out because we're in an area that we don't know anything about. It's really thick all the way around us. Obviously, whatever it is can make a lot of noise when it moves, but can obviously also move silently through there. So I wanted to move us back to where we had a little bit better vision, and whatever it was, it sounded like it just followed us to the side and to the rear all the way down. So I got her in the car and then went back in after it on foot, and it just stayed right out. You can hear it, you just can't catch up to it. It moved quicker through the brush than I could on a game trail. So there's a lot of weirdness going on up there.
And that's a scary thing about being in that particular forest, because it's basically like a temperate rainforest. The vegetation is so thick that you can only see so far. So you have no visual on anything. That's why we kind of like going out in the late fall and winter, because we can actually see through the woods and see kind of what's around us. But during those spring and summer months, it's just so thick with vegetation that something could be right there and you would have no idea that it's so close to you.
Alex W. asked, when you said the area feels dead, do you mean the wildlife has disappeared? There's really no wildlife there now.
There's not a lot of wildlife there now.
There was never really a ton of wildlife there, but there's really nothing there now. But it's just the overall feeling of the area. I'm not a very perceptive person as far as stuff like that goes, but it feels dead. It feels empty now. Before, we were finding some crazy stuff like those four-toed tracks, and we were seeing like lights. We found probably the best like stereotypical Bigfoot track we ever found in there.
Yeah.
We were hearing like wood knocking. We heard what almost sounded like chest beating one night. We heard like faux speech in there. We heard all sorts of stuff. We came in one time and we found these like tortoise shells that had been stuck on like dead trees, kind of leading us into this little hidden valley area. And we just found stuff like that. But there was just a feeling to it. You just felt that there was something there. And then just one day it just stopped, and it's never felt like that ever again. And just you go there and it feels empty compared to how it felt before. And then you go into the spot that we've been going into and it feels oppressive. Yeah. And we didn't go in expecting that. We went in kind of expecting the activity that, or something similar to what we had experienced in that other spot. And then we got up there and it's been oppressive, and it's been not friendly. It's been threatening. There's a sense of threat up there. There's a very dark history that adds to all of it. But we were feeling that oppression and that threat before we even really learned about the history of the area.
What's interesting about that area too is it's such a huge forest, and we'll travel those gravel roads, and there's miles and miles and miles of gravel roads up through there, and it goes in and out of the mountains. They're winding, steep. I mean, there's just so many roads back there. We've traveled them for hours and hours and hours. How many times have you seen a person or a group of people camping in that area?
We've seen the people that we now know were involved in the occult activity up there.
But that's it. Like, you don't see like a family out there camping.
We saw that hunter that time who was getting out before dark, who said that there was no game up there. That he just basically goes up there because he likes the solitude, and you could tell he was a little weird too. You know what I'm saying? So there's really no people up there. It's odd. I mean, it's a very odd spot. It's very odd. And like I said,
because it would be, I mean, and of course we've camped up there, and of course you guys have seen what happened when we try to camp up there, is there's always something that crazy goes on.
Yeah. And it's miles. I mean, it's hours just on the old logging and forestry roads to get to a paved road. And then it's an hour and a half on that paved road before you're really to anything that's considered civilization, or before you get a cell signal or anything. So it's a weird spot, and we often wonder if that feeling of oppression that we pick up on, are other people feeling it too, and that's why there's just really nobody up there ever. So that Varian Strain Savage asks, would you guys consider going to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan? Lots of cryptid and UFO. I'd love to go there. So generally, obviously, we usually plan our big trips for right now, the LBL, because we're very interested in that. And then our weekly trips, we usually do within driving distance of our home, just because it's easier to get in and out too. But we'd love to go to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
The Yoopers.
The Yoopers. Yeah, exactly.
Yoopers. So. More S'mores says, do you think Bigfoot is dangerous? Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's friendly.
And I mean, and you're talking about something that would be considered an apex predator. You're talking about something that it obviously it's an apex predator of wherever it's at, and it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And according to a lot of accounts, they can move in an unnaturally quick way through the woods. So yeah, I think of course that would be something that's dangerous.
Kaju wanted to know, did it vocalize when it bluff charged? No, it didn't. It didn't. You just heard it when it started, right?
Right. Yeah,
And
I just heard the crashing through the woods. It sounded like something was just crashing through the woods straight at me. It sounded like a freight train coming through the woods.
And you know that
there was the popping of branches and leaves and everything just smashing because something was headed straight for me.
And you know how wildlife can sound larger than it is at night, especially in the forest. It generates more noise than what you would expect an animal of that size to do. So if maybe that was a deer, but it was a deer that just stopped, dropped to its belly, slithered out without making another noise at all. So
it's also an insane deer to like
yeah, exactly,
run
just to charge you like that and then just stop a few feet away and then just dropped and like disappeared. So yeah, hey Tracker, how are you, buddy? He wouldn't leave my vehicle in that area. That's why we actually turned around that day. We drove for hours. What, 4 hours?
Yeah, it was like 3.5, 4 hours to get there.
4 hours to get there, and then navigated in as far as we could with the vehicle, and we actually parked. And we've got a little bit of footage for that. We ought to just put that out as a short. But the area that we pulled over to, because this is just an old forestry road that hasn't been maintained in forever. We found a small little area to kind of pull to the side for that we wouldn't get stuck in. And there was an old gate that I guess was another old forestry road that was just completely overgrown at that point. There's no real sign of a road past the gate, but it's a little bit more level through there. And that's where we found those like fire rings and what looked like an old like a child's dress.
Yeah, we found a child's dress.
And then we found
the pet carrier.
The pet carriers. So somebody was taking pets up there and then leaving the carriers up there. So somebody's taking animal, and of course your mind immediately goes to, is they're bringing animals up here to sacrifice?
Yeah, it absolutely stank of ritual. It looked like a ritual
sign of ritual. The deeper you get in there, and that was and then when we saw people up there and how sketchy they were, we literally stopped at that point, and I just went, we've got to get out of here, because that was immediately went to my mind is our vehicle's going to get disabled.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll just slash our tires just for sheer fun of it at this point. And it's going to take probably about 6 hours we're not going to get AAA up there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get a tow truck up there to get your vehicle out. So
there's another interesting thing, the forest that is there, that surrounds it and that is nearby, is pretty famous in the area for being a body dump, right? And where people go in there and commit suicide.
Yeah, because when we were looking at it, because of course you always look for the certain key phrases when you're scouting out an area: mysterious deaths, body found, missing people. And they were finding bodies like left and right in the adjacent spot of forest up to there. And then they were also talking about how all the deer had disappeared, and that they were talking about trying to get what they could do, because all of the hunters in the area were complaining that there used to be deer. And of course they were kind of insinuating that it had just been overhunted.
Yeah.
But that was just something that stood out to me, because everywhere else in this region, the deer population is like skyrocketing right now, you know? So Dooster had the more I think about it, I'm inclined to believe you and Jesse witnessed a large portal in the woods a week or so ago. Yeah, and what we're going to do when we get back out there is we're going to do a test to kind of show, when you see the video footage, we shot that on a handheld action cam, the Phasm, and that's short range only. So the fact that we were able to pick up any light at all, and you can see the light.
Yeah.
But at that distance kind of shows you how large and bright it was. So we're going to take a real bright, we've got like a real powerful streamlight like lantern. Yeah, that we're going to take and kind of turn on there and show you what that looks like at the same distance then. So.
Yeah, and we're going to we were talking about doing that experiment here in the woods, in our woods, but then we're like, you know what, let's just take the lantern and do it at the location. That way we have all of the same circumstances replicated in the same spot. So you can see, we'll be able to compare what that light looks like on the camera at night at that exact spot. So we'll do this experiment and compare the footage, and you can kind of maybe gauge the size of this thing that we captured on camera.
We got a veritable who's who in the chat tonight. We got Vault of Nightmares.
Hello, Vault.
Gaushawk, Barton Nunley, Nighthawk. What's up, Nighthawk?
Mr. A says, LBL is a wild place. I used to go there every summer to camp and fish. There's some dark energy there.
There's some dark energy
There's a lot of stuff that really contributes to that. The LBL has a very, very dark and sordid history. And there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about the LBL. Through our research, we have uncovered just years and years and years of human misery and suffering that has occurred on the peninsula. But
there's a lot we do know about the
LBL.
Yeah. A lot that we've been able to kind of unearth about the LBL over the past few months. And when we do our next LBL investigation, we might release some of that stuff beforehand too, just to kind of a teaser.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we've been able to uncover that kind of illuminates some of the popular lore that goes along with the LBL and everything. So just something to kind of keep.
Yeah, I think it's really important because when you're dealing with a place like the LBL and all the stories that surround it, I think it's really important to separate what is known fact from known fiction. And because it gets convoluted anyway. All of these stories, you have to take some of these stories with a grain of salt, but it's a bit of a stretch to listen to some of these things and accept them. But then you're also, arguing about, does this exist? Does this not exist? If we can definitively lay out the facts of those things and like really have just facts in front of us, then we can focus on really exploring the more paranormal side of things. If we can just get the facts out of the way from the start.
Paramedic was like, tell about the carload of people that drove by. Yeah, well, we're in there when we get up. He's referring to
at Corpsewood Manor.
Corpsewood Manor. We took the vehicle in as far as we could. And then the road got so bad that, again, we hadn't had a cell signal for hours at this point, man. And we're back up. We're following these handwritten directions, to try to get back up in there using our GPS whenever we can. So we leave the car. And then, of course, as soon as we get out of the car, I'm like, hey, what's all this back here? And because the pet carrier is just sitting right there. I realized there's pet carriers back there, and I'm like, well, where are the pets at? And as I walk around to look in the first one,
God, we were so scared.
I was afraid I was going to find like a starved animal in there that somebody had just left. But no, they're all empty.
Worried about.
They're all empty. And then I'm realizing there's like these fire rings set in a pattern, and then we find the old like little girl's dress. So that's our initial thing. As soon as we got out of I take that back, because right before we entered the actual area, when we first got on that logging road, remember, I got out to relieve myself, basically.
Yeah, we got out to pee.
And got out to pee, and I'm peeing, and I look at my feet, and there's just
bones everywhere.
There's bones everywhere. There's deer carcasses everywhere.
Yeah.
And now we've come across areas where poachers have dumped kills at before. But one of the things that poachers won't leave is they won't leave a skull of a buck there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those were just left there. And again, I know there's other areas where sometimes, the DOT will take roadkill, kind of pile it out. That was not the case here. This was not an easy to access place. So there was just something dumping massive amounts of just dead deer there. So that was our first experience with this area. Then when we get out, after we park, we find the pet carriers, we find all of that. We're hiking in, we're following this old logging road, and we start hearing something. And I'm like, what am I hearing? And what was it? An old clapped out, like
it was like a Camry
or something like that.
It was like a Toyota Camry.
No plate, beat all to hell, windshields out on it.
No, all the windows were busted.
All the windows are out on it.
Like
okay.
All the windows.
So I'm assuming they only use that vehicle in and around that area and don't take it out on real roads, because there's no plate on or anything. And it's just packed with just people. And I'm not saying they were feral, but they weren't friendly and they weren't very clean, and they just gave us these looks as we went by.
They grimaced at us,
and again, we're used to dealing with, we go into small mountain areas all the time. We're used to dealing with unfriendly locals. I mean, we're both from small rural mountain areas. We understand the dislike for outsiders. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that is new to us. These people were up to no good and were very interested in why we were there. And then they're headed right towards our car. They're headed down the road.
And of course, we're just a couple of goofy fruits in a damn Subaru.
Yeah, we're in a Subaru. We're gonna usually we drive one of our like old Blazers like in there, but we had taken the Subaru because
it was such a long drive.
Such a long trip. And I was going, we look like a bunch of rube tourists out here. We look like easy marks. So
goofy fruits.
So that was when I was just like, we got to call it. We got to get out of here, because we're going to go back and the car's either not going to be there or it's going to be disabled.
Yeah. And we were hiking in, and we filmed all this too, but while we were kind of walking in and going into the area, there was a smell. There was just a
smelled like dead bodies.
Smelled like decaying human flesh.
Now, the other thing too is that I've smelled dead pigs, dead deer, dead cows. I've never smelled a dead horse before. And that road is called Dead Horse Road because they kept finding dead horses on it. And I'm going, are there other dead horses around here? If so, dead horses smell a lot like dead people do in the summer sun. But it's just I
don't think dead horses have a distinct smell. They might.
I don't know. I've never smelled one. But anyway, we'll be heading back to Corpsewood Manor. We'll be going back in.
Goshawk says, do you feel like any activity you experience is greater than or less than from year to year?
It's more now.
Yeah, it seems like it's more now.
Well, it's dead in that area, but everywhere else that we've experienced it, it seems to be greater.
Now, what's going to be interesting is ask us this question in 10 years and we'll have like so much more data. We'll have so many more data points and we can actually start to see a pattern emerge perhaps. But yeah, this is a question that we need to keep in mind over the next few years and really make note of how the activity kind of ebbs and flows through the years and the months and the seasons.
Spot says if it's not a WRX or an STI.
No, it is an Outback. It's an Outback.
We've got a couple of Blazers that we take, old Chevy Blazers that we take in that. But like I said, we just took the Subaru that time because we weren't expecting the roads to be that bad once we got there. And it's just a lot more comfortable ride. We knew that it was going to be at least about an 8-hour round trip, just travel time.
Yeah.
So,
of course, we've got a black Chevy Blazer ZR2 two-door that we want to kind of turn into the Hellbent Holler Mobile.
Yeah.
That thing will go up there, no problem. Take Two Wheels says, hey, Joe and Jesse, my neighbors across the street saw something similar to the portal you guys saw.
Yeah, I saw you sent us responded back to an email right before we got on. I haven't opened that email yet.
Now, wouldn't it be wild if there's like these portals opening up all over the world?
If that's a portal, because I'm still torn on, I don't know what it was. And if I think of a portal being that traditional thing that opens in midair and it just stays stationary and it opens and then it closes. And what we saw was stationary and then it lifted up and it seemed like it changed shape. And then when we're leaving out, you can see it's up higher at that point. You know what I'm saying? But then again, we're also descending in elevation, but it seemed like it had gone higher. It was like up in the treetops at that point. So I don't know what it was.
Would it suck if we triggered that? Like we popped it off by we popped off like a worldwide opening of portals and we triggered it by looking into this and kind of poking the bear. And so we just triggered the apocalypse where the portals are opening and ancient elder gods are going to come through.
That's what we're headed towards, man.
So that's what we've done. So hopefully YouTube doesn't give us a strike for opening portals and destroying the planet. So.
I've got to be honest though, we're kind of making light of it right now, but I was actually talking to the Dooster that's on here right now. It was earlier today or yesterday, and I was just like, I've been thinking about that constantly since we saw it, because we've seen lights in the woods, we've seen weird lights in the woods, we've caught lights on our footage that we didn't see at the time when we review it later on. Heck, we've had people get in touch with us and go, hey, look in the upper left-hand corner of your screen at this timestamp and realize that there was a light that we didn't notice either at the time or during video review before. I've just never seen anything this big, that close up, that behaved like that, and then seemed to have figures around the base of it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Kaiju Ninja 1985 says, Joe, you should check the bones for teeth marks. If you guys would recall, in our last LBL series, the werewolf experiments, when we found those bones at Station 16, was that the third episode, part 3?
Yes.
Yeah. So we found those bones at Station 16. Some of them had what looked to be teeth marks and like gnawing spots on them. So something was definitely gnawing on those bones and chewing on those bones. And then that one was broken in half, and it was a huge, huge bone. Goshawk says, we went from hellbenders to goofy fruits. Yes. It's okay to have balance in your life.
Kaiju Ninja wants to know, if we had that feeling when you're walking towards an area, for example, and then you were completely stopped and get a feeling of danger and immediately turn around. we've definitely gotten feelings, and you see it on some of our videos. We'll stop and I'll just go, I think something's going to happen like real soon.
Yeah.
You just get this feeling of like, and again, when we went to the spot that we've referenced to that's gone dead now, we were in fog. It was like super thick. You could only see a couple feet ahead of you. It was like,
I think we got a shot of me during the day, and this is during the day.
Yeah.
You got a shot of me walking into the fog, and I completely disappeared.
And at night, it just got heavier and heavier. And you know, it would have normally been extremely spooky if we didn't do what we normally do. As it was a relaxing night in the woods. Nothing really happened. So we're not easily startled in the woods. I mean, we're walking through the woods at night with just a red flashlight. It's foggy. And it was enjoyable. We even talked about it, how it was actually enjoyable instead of being tense all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's, I guess I say that just because to say that it's not just the virtue of being in the woods at night. We don't get scared that easy, but we've definitely had times where we go, the tension just kind of builds for some reason. You just feel it. As far as turning around, the only time we've really turned around and left is when I made her leave when the storm was coming in that first night at the last LBL trip. And we needed to get out of there because I didn't want to be, if a tornado did hit that area, I didn't want to be in that spot. Yeah, we could have ducked into the bunkers and probably been okay, but our car would not have been. And
you saw the storm damage in that video too from the previous tornado that came through. So,
and then Corpsewood Manor, we left like we talked about, just because I was going. Again, it's the vehicle. We've got to have a.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't think anybody would ever call us cowards for anything like you doing this. I think that you have to know when to live to fight another day.
Yeah.
You have to know you gotta know when to fold them. You know,
so
know when to walk away, know when to run. So
Jones said Farm says picked a random road to check out an LBL, drove 4 miles and passed multiple side roads. Got a bad feeling, so we turned around.
Intuition is a real thing.
Yeah, definitely. Trust your gut. I mean, it's yeah, and you know, I mean, we get stuff all the time. You should have done this. You should have. Again, I had people saying that we should have stayed there when the storm came in the LBL and got into the bunkers. But yeah, that's still our vehicle out there, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we live in the real world. I mean, if our car gets trashed, that's a real world issue that we have to deal with. Then, you know, we both have jobs we have to return to. We need working vehicles. So that's, you know, we don't have a huge unlimited budget to work off of. We don't have a fleet that we're drawing vehicles out of.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, trust your gut for it then. So.
We're just going through some of the chat here.
Someone has a little joke for you.
Oh God. Why
made her grown, man. So
thanks, guys. Oh, hey, since we're doing this, make sure you guys hit that like button. And hit that like button for us. Make sure that you are hitting the like button.
And Goshawk has a thing that obviously rodents will chew on bones for calcium. We're well aware of that. I mean, if you walk into our backyard, you're going to probably see 20 to 30 squirrels with just an eye. I mean, we have a squirrel. We're overrun out here right now. And there's a lot of deer in this area. And there's a highway not too terribly far from us that they get hit on all the time. So you see deer carcasses, they crawl into the woods to die sometimes after being hit. And so we know the natural progression of bones and how the
plus I have bones. I have bone piles outside everywhere.
Makes like bone chandeliers for outside and bone wind chimes and everything. So we see how those degrade over time from small rodents chewing on them. And the bones that disappeared at Station 16, they've disappeared too quickly and too completely.
Yeah.
So not small things. But the reason why I highlighted this is because the huge teeth mark on bones, I'm sure you're familiar with it, Goshawk, that there was a study that a guy did a few years ago where he was finding bones in, I believe, the Pacific Northwest. I'm not sure. I'll pull up his name here real quick. I got dead air while I'm waiting for this to pull up.
Yeah, I know.
The guy's name was Mitchell something or other.
Mitch Townsend, Kaiju Ninja. He found a pile of ribs.
Possibly, yeah. I found ribs that had human-looking teeth marks on them, but they were like 2 or 3 times the size of the normal human, like molars and bicuspids and everything like that. So he
didn't they determine like the Denisovian tooth was
big, yeah,
was huge.
Here we go. Mitchell Townsend shows the bite ratio is 2.5 times larger than that of a human. So this guy is a college instructor, and he found these bones, just a stack of rib bones, and it looked as if something that with opposable thumbs just sat there and gnawed on these bones with giant human-sized teeth. And it's weird because that kind of made the rounds for a bit, and then you never heard anything else about it. So I don't know if he's still finding those bones out there, and it's just not making the news nowadays, or if nobody's really talking about it at that point. But
is it bad that I kind of want ribs?
Kind of want ribs now after hearing that. So, but yeah, that's just it's an interesting thing. The deer bones that we found at Corpsewood Manor, I did not check for teeth marks at that point. In retrospect, probably would have been a good idea to do it, but
we can go back to that area when we go back there. We're definitely going to go back to that spot. So kind of look around there, maybe poke around there a little bit more, see what else we find. Like we said, that was kind of our first trip there, and it was sort of a scouting mission in a way. And we definitely learned a lot from that.
Tracker said that he heard of several instances where portals being raised before they closed. Skinwalker Ranch and several other places where cryptids are seen trying to jump or climb into. I've heard the ones, obviously, from Skinwalker Ranch where they've seen something kind of pull itself out, like a humanoid type figure pull itself out of a portal. I have not heard that they raise up before. That's interesting. Because what we saw raised up a little bit, and then it went higher as we were walking, trying to get out of there. Because we didn't know where the figures were around it, that had been around it. If we were in the woods with somebody or something that were in an unknown patch of woods at night that we're not used to where to go to up there. But it, this definitely raised up into the air, and changed shape, and it didn't give off any noise, but it gave off heat. So I don't know.
And and what's great is, like I said, we got that on thermal. We have like footage. Yeah. Like I have actual footage of it giving off heat. I have proof that it is giving off heat, which is pretty awesome. Instead of just a anecdote, a personal anecdote, we have actual concrete proof and video of it.
Take Two Wheels talked about he watched Skinwalker Ranch, and those beams of light look similar to the ones I sent you from my trail cam. Yeah, I've watched some of that TV show. I read the books, obviously. Skinwalkers of the Pentagon's really, I know on the surface, it's mostly dealing with like the UAP phenomenon and the government agencies that were kind of created, or the government programs like OSAP and ATIP that were done for that. But there's a lot of little interesting nuggets in there about creatures on the ground as well. So that's a really good book. I just haven't watched a lot of the TV show, so I don't really know a lot about it. I did see the New York Post that has that YouTube series, the basement.
Oh, from the
basement
office.
Yeah, they actually, the guy went to Skinwalker Ranch. They gave him access to it. I gotta, unless there was some clever editing that went on, the Skinwalker Ranch guys did not come across too well. You know what I'm saying? So
you know what? Sometimes I wonder if the Skinwalker Ranch thing is a distraction from something else.
It might be. So
because there's so much, the people involved in Skinwalker Ranch, they're involved in it. They have so many government connections. Then you've got people like Tom DeLonge with the Two to the Stars Academy. His grandfather was a Mason. They have all of these connections. I wonder if they are a part of this disinformation campaign where they're seeking disclosure of these events and these entities, but they're steering us in a direction that is not quite right, like hiding the truth in plain sight, where they claim they're trying to seek the truth, or give us the truth, but what they're doing is you're paying attention to the left hand while the right hand is doing something else.
Existor's revitalization. I can't grasp the idea that someone can see an actual portal. I don't know if that's what we saw. I mean, I don't want to call it an orb because it wasn't round the whole time. A light doesn't do it justice. It's almost like it was like plasma or something like that, but it wasn't. I don't know. I don't have a frame of reference for what it was. And then the fact that there were people or figures around the base of it and it wasn't really, it was bright, but it wasn't really illuminating anything around it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Hopefully we'll see something similar, or we'll be able to get a repeat of it.
Kaiju Ninja 1985 says, "Do they talk about dino beavers on the Skinwalker
No,
Ranch
they don't.
show?"
And in that Basement Office episode on YouTube, the guy who runs it, and I can't remember his name, Green something or other, asked them if they had seen dino beavers like the
Skinwalkers
Bigelow. No, the Bigelow Ranch, like the Bigelow team guys saw it, and they said no. The new people said that they had not seen dino beavers, and that they thought the idea was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? They were a little dismissive of a lot of the Bigelow stuff that had happened.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't really, I don't know. They just, maybe it's the editing. Maybe it was edited to kind of make them look bad a little bit, but they seemed very like insulting of the Bigelow era at Skinwalker Ranch. And that's not what it seems like the few times I've seen the show. It seems like they've been, hey, we're continuing the work that Bigelow did. And they bring up instances that Bigelow, the Bigelow researchers ran into, like the Dino Beaver, the portals and all that. And they bring them up almost as like statement of fact on the TV show. And in this Basement Office thing, they were kind of dismissive of it. So it was a little bit of a...
Well, I mean, it is a TV show. At the same time, you are producing a TV, like Red Wolf says here, the Skinwalker Ranch, the Skinwalker Ranch TV show does seem very produced. Yeah, I mean, it is a entertainment product. It is something that they have producers and directors and everything involved in that, and there's a creative process involved there too.
And I mean, anything you see media-wise is going to have a certain level of production to it. I mean, our little videos that we put out that are 45 minutes long to an hour, that's sometimes days worth of footage, you know what I'm saying? But you don't want to watch 48 hours straight of footage of us, because the majority of it's very boring. And, so I could, so they are going to like kind of try to give you or at least we do. We try to give you the general storyline of what's happened to us. This is what happened to us, and try to condense it down so it's watchable. To try to convey what happened in a way that you don't get bored and just turn it off, so you can kind of actually see the interesting stuff.
You want those meat and potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, you want the meat and potatoes to reflect the whole thing, but just in a condensed version. Skinwalker does sometimes seem like it's canned, though. You know what I'm saying? So
I can't get over. I think I couldn't watch the show just because I couldn't get over that guy. My name is Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon.
I just could not get over that. Because he gave himself that nickname. Yeah. Right? Like, nobody was like, all right, Kyle, you're Dragon now. Or Bill, whatever your name is. You are Dragon. You are the Dragon. Not today, Saban says. Tom's a Mason, and he's outright warning people that they're more dimensional. He lines up with what you guys think.
Tom DeLonge used to drop some crazy little nuggets back in the day, man, before they kind of got him, I don't want to say under control, but before they made him more like media savvy. Because, I guess he's used to dealing with the media from like a rock star status. You say outrageous things and you're expected to be outrageous.
Well, think about this too. One of his best friends and bandmate, Travis Barker, is married to a Kardashian, which is like, it's got Illuminati written all over it.
Exactly.
That's got Project Monarch written all over it, MK Ultra written all over it. So yeah, I mean, there's so many connections there that you have to say that they have to be connected. They know these people. They've spent time with these people. They went to the wedding, so that these people are connected with these people who are connected in Hollywood with the elite.
But I don't know, man. Like I said, when Tom DeLonge first came out, he was talking some crazy stuff. And everybody's just going, this is the guy from Blink-182, man. And he's talking about meeting with generals and with people out of the White House. He's full of crap. And then the Clinton emails got leaked. And it turns out he was meeting with Podesta, and he was meeting with, people on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And then some of the stuff that he would talk about how that this phenomenon had been around as long as people had been around, and that we used to consider them gods, and that he alleged that mankind had civilizations before, and these things had basically knocked us back down, but this time they waited too long, and now we knew how to fight back. It was just some really crazy stuff that he just kind of would just casually kind of drop in. And then it seems like they were just like, hey, Tom's like leaking too much too fast. And he became a lot more metered in his speech after that then. So
yeah, they have ways of shutting you up. They have ways of controlling what you release and what you say, whether it be through blackmail or threats or whatever. But yeah, it seems like his tone has changed a little bit, and maybe it's because they've let him into a certain degree, and they've told him, "We'll let you into a certain degree as long as you just put out a certain amount of the information."
Yeah. Bird Dog says, I think humanity has amnesia of the past. Changed my mind. I've been doing a lot of reading on Mac Tonnies, if you're not familiar with him, and he did the book The Crypto Terrestrial. I'm in the process of reading that right now and kind of going through some of Mac Tonnies' hypothesis. And one of the things I thought of is that I'm just thinking about all these people that are saying that a lot of this phenomenon is not from, it's not extraterrestrial. It may not even be interdimensional. It might be like ultra terrestrial, or as Mac Tonnies calls it, crypto terrestrial. It's native to here. It's not going in and out of a different dimension. It's going in and out of our perception. And I went down the rabbit hole over the past like few days about looking into, up until fairly recently, like, I don't know, like they think that 7,000 years ago, people couldn't see the color blue.
Yeah.
We couldn't see it. We evolved the ability to see blue. And I'm going, all right, well, what else is out there that we haven't evolved the ability to see yet? And then I'm thinking the reason why your comment sparked this is that, there's so much talk about the younger dryads and how that, that calamity maybe knocked out like a pre-Diluvian civilization. And I was thinking, I'm kind of going through that as I'm reading this Mac Tonnies book, and I'm going, maybe these crypto terrestrials, maybe that's a breakaway, like splinter, like sister race to us, that when the younger dryads hit, they went underground, you know what I'm saying, to survive it. And then the people that were left up on the surface,
the evolution trajectory is different.
And the ones who were on the surface struggled a lot more. And the ones below were able to advance quicker and maybe developed some divergent technology.
Or they never lost their technology, so they continued to develop.
Yeah, it can develop where we were basically knocked back to the Stone Age.
Yeah. However, we became a hardier race because we survived more.
So like a breakaway civilization, but a lot earlier than what they usually talk about the breakaway civilization being a fairly modern thing. And I'm thinking, what if it happened with the younger dryads, and what we've always seen as far as like fairies and elves and now aliens and everything like that are just expressions of this sister race that's been here the entire time, but and we share like a genetic ancestor, but we're divergent right now. That could also, one of the things you think about is if these are aliens from another planet, why are they so interested in the reproductive factors of humanity and our DNA and everything like that? There seems like there'd be no genetic compatibility there. That's what I'm trying to say. Because that's been a common thread. That's been a common thread from days when, with fairy lore, changelings, humans being taken as brides and husbands to the fairies to kind of like rejuvenate their dying, their withering genes. Same thing with like alien, a lot of alien lore right now. They talk about how a lot of these people they're trying to build a hybrid race because their own race is suffering genetically. They're basically their race is stagnating at this point. And I'm going, well, if that doesn't make sense, if there's something from another planet, it seems like we'd be genetically incompatible. But if it's something that's here and we share a genetic past with, all of a sudden that kind of makes a little bit of sense.
And if their technology is advanced, maybe they can, retro engineer something. They just need that final component to do that. They need our DNA. They need our genes, our sequences.
Well, Mac Tonnies had talked about how he didn't think that the crypto terrestrials, they were pretending to be aliens and that they were more advanced than we were technologically, but not as advanced as they're trying to portray themselves. And that
they're trying to put fear into us, because
making us think that they're extraterrestrials with just overwhelmingly advanced technology. Because he goes they're very advanced in certain areas, but then other areas not so much, and that there's not that many of them. And what's happened is that humanity has grown so much, and now we're starting to grow technologically, And so they're trying to almost kind of put that fear in us. The other thing that he had a really interesting thing on was that there's that constant message of you need to preserve the earth, you need to take care of Mother Nature, you need to do this and this. And he goes, if they're aliens with a planet of their own, why are they so invested in that?
And also that they don't want you to use nuclear weapons.
Exactly right. And it's almost like they're trying to like safeguard their own planet that they're also here from. So anyway, I think that's
a cool theory.
Yeah,
that's a cool way to think about it.
It's
also scary too, because they could be anywhere.
Yeah, well, there's something
you can't perceive them. Like, we're not to the point where we can perceive them outright yet.
Well, McTony's had said that the technology was more advanced, but it wasn't perfect. So the glimpses that we caught were basically failures in their system. You know what I'm saying? So it's an interesting book. It's going to be interesting to see how it wraps up. I'm about halfway through it right now, but I'm going to probably have to read it again just to kind of make sure that I get everything completely kind of digested there. So Otherworld Strange Stories. Thank you so much for that $5 there, sir. How many types of Dogman sightings have you heard of? More werewolf type or more body of man with wolf-like face features? You two rock. Keep it up. Thank you.
I think the most of anything I've really heard of, it's not like the Hollywood werewolf where it has like pecs and like abs and stuff, and it's like a more man-like. I think what we're seeing is more of a very large wolf that seems to just stand upright on two legs. That's what a lot of the stories seem to have.
Yeah, in this area, there's been an uptick in what you consider like werewolf or dogman sightings, like north of us, and most of those are not quite. They're definitely not the body of a man with wolf-like features. And they're not as human. I guess they'd be somewhere between upright wolf and just werewolf. You know what I'm saying? So very bestial. And then there's also a lot of reports that you don't really seem to get out of the South. And then you occasionally see them in Oklahoma, are the hyena type creatures. And I'm not talking about like hyenas on two legs. Or they might be on two legs. Who knows? People usually report them in groups of from 3 to 5 is what I usually see. And they're just very almost demonic looking hyena creatures.
Yeah, more of a short muzzle.
People have reported killing them before. The one guy that I spoke to his brother had shot one, and then his brother thought that he had maybe killed something that he shouldn't have, and he was going to get in touch with the game warden. It was kind of insinuated that he had been poaching out of season anyway. So he burned it and then just buried what was left of it. So,
and it was described more akin to like a very, very large brown hyena, correct?
No, just spotted hyenas is how it's been described as. But here's the deal: is that it still has a muzzle. I wonder if maybe some of these things that we're hearing about north of us are these same creatures just on two legs. So that's where I'm going at.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, quite honestly, you hear it a lot. You hear the word demonic kind of brought around. I thought I was looking at a demon. It looked demonic. I didn't know what I was looking at. It had wolf-like features, but a lot of times they don't walk away going, I saw an upright wolf or I saw a werewolf or whatever. I saw a demon-looking dog thing,
Have you ever seen, in South Africa, I think it is, they have the strand wolves?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen strand wolves? That's a weird-looking animal.
Yeah.
Like, that looks like something that could be demonic. That looks like something that could absolutely be, if it stood up on two legs, that would be like one of the most terrifying-looking dog-man-like creatures that there could be out there.
All right, let's see. No one said unless they look like the Howling or Dog Soldiers, you ain't interested. Dog Soldiers had some amazing makeup, like some special effects there. So, Rob S., speaking on werewolf theory, I know you found those shoes. Did you ever find clothes that are folded clothes in the woods? We've never found folded clothes.
Not folded, no.
We found clothes before. We found those pants and those boots that were not too terribly far from that abandoned tent that we found. We have found children's clothes in that one spot that's not too terribly far from us.
Yeah.
We found clothes before, but
nothing neatly folded.
Yeah, nothing like that follows the David Paulides like missing 411 stuff where they just find somebody's clothes folded in like a rock in the middle of the river. So Take Two Wheels. It's got some more stuff on that photo. Yeah, I'll check that as soon as we get off here. I'll check the email and pull it up.
The Howling is a great movie. Howling 2 is a great movie.
Poor Dog has it. The Smithsonian's been known to cover up a lot of things. Yeah, they have. And it's weird because think of the amount of articles that people have referenced and kind of brought up about how maybe like, some townsfolk were like, digging like an irrigation ditch and they came across a bunch of like 8-foot skeletons. The Smithsonian has come and retrieved them, and then it's just gone. And then, of course, the Smithsonian's going, nope, have never happened. And I'm just going, that's a very odd story.
That it keeps happening over and over again. It's also cool that they aren't cool. It's interesting that when you have events or phenomena like this, whether it be a UFO sighting or they dig up strange, archaeological finds or anything like that, that the local paper or news outlet or whatever is usually very excited about it, and they're like really, really stoked about it and talk about it a lot. And then some sort of federal intervention occurs, and then it either goes away completely or it's completely just lambasted and made fun of. I mean, that happened with like Roswell. They were like really excited about the whole thing, and then came the cover up.
Kaiju Ninja, do you know if other people have seen that big ball of light, what you saw? Well, we'd been going up there for a while, and we got that weird email from the fellow who mentions in the email he knows where we're going to, and he's right. He knows where we're going to. He mentions the spot that's adjacent to there, and he was the one that talked about the screaming lights. Now, we've seen lights up there. We've heard booms and we've heard some weird screams, and we've spoken directly to other people that have had similar stuff happen up there. But again, we've never seen screaming lights, and he talked about there were people in the lights.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we were driving out that night and we were just kind of flipped out by what we had seen that Jesse goes, oh my God, it's what that guy talked about. Because again, the light, we didn't hear anything. It was silent, but there were people. I mean, you can't say they were in the light, but they were around it, know? So yeah, there's been other people that have seen that. And according to this guy, the more we go up there, that the activity gets bolder and more aggressive. And quite honestly, he told us we were idiots for going back up in there. And he told me that I was an idiot for taking a girl up there with me. You know what I'm saying?
He hasn't met this girl.
Yeah, that we were fools for doing it. The tone of this email was a little bit different.
It is a little different.
But the first one seemed just kind of like, hey, I want to give you guys some information. This seemed a little bit more harsh.
Yeah, but we know it's from the same person because we've not released the name of this person, and it's the same name from the initial email.
Yeah.
So we know it's
and we know he watches the videos because he knows we've continued to go back and we've talked about it.
Yeah. He just seemed perturbed that we're going back.
And normally I would go, it's somebody messing with us. But that's a weird coincidence, man, to tell us that. Again, we haven't seen a light screaming.
No.
But he knows where we're going to. And you've got to watch out for these lights with people in it.
Yeah.
And then we see that light with figures around it. And then he's just like, you guys didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
And we haven't even released that footage yet, but we've talked about it for the past couple of weeks. So just weird. Very weird. So.
See, we're kind of like at a crossroads here, aren't we? Like when you think about this there is a serious level of danger involved physically and spiritually when dealing with these entities, and the fact that you and I go out there and confront them, head on in what it seems to be its environment where, we're the away team here.
Yeah.
They have home field advantage on that. And we're going into their environment and we're confronting them face to face and seeking it out. Are we playing with fire to a degree that, are we going to get burned? This guy seems to be pretty convinced that that we're either going to get killed or get taken. Didn't he say he was where we were going to get taken?
The whole tone of this email was a lot different. almost accusatory, almost like pissed off. You know what I'm saying? So it was I'm like kind of looking through it right now. All right, here's a little clip of that email that we got, because he's talking about how he doesn't think the video that we put up with the sounds, we labeled them, what'd you put, like Sasquatch and North Shore, Bigfoot, and, yeah. And we did that just because we were going growls. It's something with thumbs because it picked the recorder up. That doesn't explain the weird clicking thing or the weird mechanical humming. But he tells us that there's other things up here than Bigfoot, little things, bigger mean things. And I'm like, bigger mean, it's just, it's weird. It's
a strange turn of phrase.
Yeah. Just very odd. You're a fool taking a girl up there, and you're going to end up dead or missing if you keep going back in there. And again, this could be somebody that just had a clever guess, and they obviously know where we're going to.
Yeah.
But it's not outside the realm of possibility that they saw a landmark on one of our videos and were familiar with that area. And then just made a lucky guess about lights with people in it. And then we, I don't know. I don't know. So
I don't know. I think that we're just gonna keep gathering clues on this,
Mm-hmm.
Matt Keenan says, okay, let's say that the portals are being opened by cultists and witchcraft is being performed. What do you think they're gaining from it all?
Why does anybody do that sort of stuff, like power?
Think about, it's like a Faustian bargain is you're making a deal with the devil. And a lot of people think that they can make a deal with the devil.
And that a lot of people are just attracted to that dark stuff instinctually. A lot of them, they need a reason for it.
And a lot of times it's for power. It's for the promise of, wealth or power, or it could be just, I don't know. It could just be that they're naturally inclined to do it, but it's been going on since time began.
Oh, I just, what? There's, for those of you who were remember the old Art Bell days, and Malachi Martin, who was the chief exorcist of the Vatican, that was on Art Bell all the time, and he would talk openly about that there are families in Europe and North America who have been engaged in intergenerational worship of what he called the adversary. That there were basically families where these practices were passed on from father to son, from mother to daughter, and that they were just engaged in this stuff, and that, that it was a hidden thing.
There's rumors of the elite doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, there's rumors of, that church in Louisiana that the first season of True Detective was based on.
Yeah.
That had been going on for generations down there. And everybody knew that there were churches back in those back swamp areas where, like you said, it's more Lovecraftian than anything else, man. They might call themselves a Baptist church, but they're not worshiping God there, It's weird. And again, to people that are living in I don't know, they live in San Diego and they've never really left an urban environment. That sounds crazy. You know, there's people in the swamps worshiping demons or something like that. That's crazy talk.
Yes,
there are. It sounds crazy, but there are, man. There are. So
I've met them.
Yeah,
yes,
so.
I've talked to them.
Alex W goes, what would y'all suggest as the first steps to research the paranormal cryptids in my area? I live in Montana and haven't found any content creators like y'all that cover my area. The first thing to do would be to get out there to the extent of your comfort level and the level of your safety. Don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Don't do it alone. Get a Garmin InReach Mini, like we always talk about, a personal locator beacon.
Especially somewhere like Montana, where you're going to be
with no cell signal.
And no cell signal, and you're in pretty remote areas, and the weather can be brutal in places like Montana, as you know.
But get a personal locator beacon. Don't go alone. Regardless of your personal feelings on the subject of firearms, I would not recommend going unarmed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plethora of available information out there. If you're somebody who is already comfortable in the woods and comfortable in the outdoors, good, you've got that basis to build on. If you're not, you can find map reading courses in different places, but don't just rely upon your GPS, and certainly don't rely upon the map function of your telephone. Know how to read a map, have a map of the area, have a compass. Basically approach it, start off with as if you were going out on like a camping trip or a hiking trip, medical supplies, food, water, all of that stuff. And once you have those covered, we started off with a little handheld camcorder that we got off Amazon warehouse used. And then we slowly built from stuff.
Piece by piece by piece.
If you're wanting to almost treat it like you're like a cryptozoology photojournalist, like you're wanting to try to capture footage either for yourself or to share with other people or whatever, have that ability. When you go out, always have the ability to be filming and recording. Don't have enough batteries, have a backup, whatever. But
there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. And it's so encompassing that you almost have to, in order to really do it justice, sometimes, like we've let it become our entire lives at this point.
Oh yeah. If
we don't have other hobbies or we don't have any other things that we involve ourselves in. Joe does not go golfing. Like I don't go out on girls' nights, to the club or anything like that. Like we just don't do any of that because it has become all encompassing of our lives.
The last time I read like a work of fiction for like enjoyment, I can't even remember the last time it was. Everything that like I read nowadays is something that is associated with this, and it's wherever like the rabbit hole is taking me to. But anyway, just to start off though, because that's a little bit overwhelming,
That is overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, but I mean, just don't go alone. Have a personal locator beacon, go armed, follow those like Pilates rules, regardless of your feelings on David Pilates missing 411. That's sound advice. Do that. And then if you're looking for areas to go into, look for, all right, one of the things, and we've talked about this in the past, but we don't necessarily go and look for like a Bigfoot sighting that happened back in like 1972, and then nothing else has happened since then. There may or may not be activity going on there, but if that's the only thing that happened, you can go check it out if you want to. To a certain extent, we don't even really rely upon personal accounts on social media anymore, just because sometimes there's varying degrees of truthfulness to those accounts. If you're looking to try to find areas to maybe go to, start going onto online message boards that are dedicated to other sorts of outdoor activities. Okay. Go into hiking message boards like forums, hunting, fishing, geocaching, rock climbing, mountain biking, stuff like that. Don't necessarily fool with overlanding because that's obviously you're in the vehicle most of the time. But look for stuff like that and look for those threads of every forum's got one. Has anybody ever had anything weird happen to them in the woods? Yeah. And people start sharing their stories, and look for stuff that happens with it, that has happened within a geographic proximity to you, something that you're easy to get back and forth to. Don't pick an area to research that's so far away that you can't get to it easy, because you won't ever get there. Yeah. Pick somewhere that's within a real comfortable drive of you and just start going out. Start going out at daytime to begin with to get used to the area, and then just slowly push your comfort zones. Our email, you want to put our email address?
Yeah, up? I'll pop that up right now.
Alex, we'll put our email address up, and if you want to contact us, we take a different tone than a lot of people do that are involved in this stuff. A lot of people don't really like other people getting involved with it because it makes them feel like they're part of some like exclusive club. We wish more people were getting out there doing this, like getting out there looking for this stuff, because the more of us that are out there looking for this stuff, the better chance we are to like kind of putting some puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, so, absolutely. So more eyeballs on it.
Get in touch with us. I'd be more than happy to offer you any
advice. Yeah,
any advice that we possibly could. So,
Jay Myers says, do you think that email is a threat for y'all to stay away from the area?
Here, you know what? He did not he did not say not to share the email. He just said, don't share his name. I'll read it to you. And
now I have to tell Joe this because Joe sometimes will do his little slip ups. Do not say the name.
I'm not going to.
Do not say the location.
I'm not going to. Okay. So the email reads, and we got this. Actually, what's weird is that Take Two Wheels had sent us a message from our website. There's a contact us.
Yeah, you can go on our website and there's like a contact form.
And I got that email from him, and for some reason, this person has been contacting us from our website as well, not directly via email. Like I said, there's that little form you can go into and fill out all your information and a message, and it just sends to us. And his was sent along with Take Two Wheels' email So I didn't realize it was there at first. And then I called Jesse in a panic going, we got another email. But the message goes, you all didn't listen. And then there's a few spaces. You saw the figures in the light, didn't you? I told you that you would see them if you keep going back there. You are going to end up dead or missing if you keep going back in there. You're a fool taking a girl up there. I saw the audio clip that you put up. That is not Bigfoot that is up here. Because again, we labeled that clip Bigfoot in North Georgia. There are wild people up here who do witchcraft or the like, but not Bigfoot. The growls are probably whatever is coming out of that light. There are other things up here than Bigfoot. Little things, bigger mean things. But I don't even think that Bigfoot exists, at least not up here. If you would put a camera up with that recorder, you probably would have seen the light up here when those sounds started. Please do not mention my name on your channel. Do not message the Google address that I used last time. I wasn't expecting you to send me an email there now. That email is now gone. And I'm assuming he means that email address is gone. But just you didn't listen, and then a few spaces, and then basically telling us that I'm a fool for taking a girl up there. It didn't sound threatening. It sounded more direct, and it sounded a little ticked off that we were still going up there. And that's the other thing too, is somebody just trying to scare us off from going up there. You know, that's the other thing. We can't take everything that is said in this email as the truth. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's it for what it's worth. It's an email from a random person that we don't know if it's true or not. We don't know anything other than what I just read to you. So
yeah, it's got me a little concerned.
Yeah. Mr. Revitalization, I heard an encounter that explained a fish and game radio call for Dogman as Black Dog. His lady's cousin is a fish and game officer. So one day not too long ago, I asked him if he had heard of. I've heard that, and I've heard that Bigfoot is called brown cow, that they have a brown cow incident. Asked me if he'd heard black call over the radio. I said nothing on the subject, just the question. He smiled at me, and I smiled back. That's when I knew it was true. Interesting. So, all right.
So,
William Kennedy, because if you get an IRS audit that you know the government's in on it, don't wish that on us, man. We have enough trouble without.
I know.
Take Two Wheels has asked if you've ever had your arm hair stand straight up like static electricity. Near Track Rock GP.
Track Rock Gap.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's happened to us before. We've actually mentioned that on camera before, where I'd just be like, look at my arm hair standing up. It's just, and I'm pretty hairy, so that's a pretty good feat. But yeah, we've had cases like that where it's like you've walked into like a field of static electricity. So.
Yeah.
But what's weird is we've never really had any like equipment distortion, like no problems with the camera equipment or anything like that.
Yes, we have.
When have we had that? So when we've had the hair standing up on her?
We've had that happen in the LBO. That's in our werewolf experiments video where the camera starts to malfunction.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Because I'm looking at it, and on the it was before the camera just like went out. Like it went out, and then I got it back on. But before it went out, do you remember? Like I was looking through it, and I was like, I don't know if the video is going to be weird. It looks weird.
That's right. Yeah,
on the screen.
The screen was like distorting up. So,
yeah, it was distorting really weird. And I think I even have that in the video where I'm like, I don't know if it's going to come out weird on the video.
Because we had talked about how you felt like the air was charged like right before that.
Yeah,
that's right. So.
Yeah, there's some sort of like electric manipulation there almost. It's something to think about.
Mr. A says voodoo and Santeria are real. We have talked about before. We lived in New Orleans for a while before we moved back up to the Southern Appalachians, and there's a lot to be said about.
Yeah, a good friend of mine was a Santerian priest.
Good friend of mine was the head of one of the largest voodoo organizations in New Orleans. So yeah, and you know what? It's weird because you get into New Orleans, and that's like part of the tourism culture down there. And
yeah, you have like Marie Laveau's voodoo shop.
Yeah, and you've got people that do like tarot readings and like Jackson Square and all that, and people that like own some shops down there. And for a lot of them, it's just a grift. It's just a way to make a buck. And then there's other people down there that are like, just literally are
100%.
just 100% real to the point where, yeah, I mean, literally you're just like 100% without question real, you know? So yeah, it's definitely real. So
Craig Watts says LBL looks creepy as hell. You've had some great results there. What a vibe that place has. Let alone the Dogman activity. It's off the charts. That audio you captured was amazing to say the least. Yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, it's not like we get stuff constantly because we don't release stuff constantly, but we do just give you guys like the good stuff.
yeah.
But it's just a matter of being out there, and it's a matter of being willing to be open to the phenomenon and be willing to go out there and confront it. And I think that's why we get the stuff that we get, is that we are willing to go out there and go that far and go that extra mile and we have the technology, you and I have the equipment to actually get some of the readings on this and the data on this and the footage and the audio on
and
this.
even running the equipment that we have, there's still stuff that we can't get out there.
There's stuff we miss all the time.
You'll see us going, do you hear that? Do you hear that? It sounds like this. And just the microphones can't pick it up.
Yeah.
We've got a parabolic, but that parabolic is limited in what you can use
cumbersome,
it for. Yeah. Sure. And but I mean, even trying to record all the time, you're going to miss stuff. But you're able to get some stuff, you know what I'm saying? So Matt Keenan goes, I imagine Jesse drunk in a club rattling off Bigfoot facts to the guys who want to hit on her. Oh.
Yeah.
Stingray 1975 has the most interesting comment in the chat so far. I sent you an email about the pig boy of Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Sold.
Done.
Right. If that's something going on right now, and that's within driving distance, the pig boy. Yeah.
That makes me uncomfortable.
Man bear pig.
Barton Nunley says that's a bizarre email.
Yeah, and actually it's yeah, I'm torn on this email. The person knew where we were because he was dead on with where we were. I mean, he knows exactly where we're going to, and we've been very careful to not share that. But again, obviously he saw something in one of the videos, or so he claims, that he said he recognized something and knows that's where we're going to.
But
that person may be watching this right now or might watch it later. I'm wary of the emails that we're getting. Yeah. I'm wary that it's a coincidence and somebody's messing with us, or it's not what it seems to be. But I guess at this point, we're distrustful of almost everything at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you don't know.
Yeah, I don't take anything at face value.
You don't know what side people are playing on. You don't know who they're playing
for.
If
the name is the real name, that's got some weird connotations to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway,
no one says you got too close to someone still.
Nah, and you know what? We find old still stuff up there, but nobody's moonshining in those hills anymore.
No, you don't. I mean, liquor is legal. I mean, like
some of the easier to access areas, they might be cooking meth up there
or growing weed. But yeah, but we did find we found
old
a couple weeks ago we found jugs and stuff. And still equipment,
but nobody's doing moonshining anymore.
Not really.
And the areas we're in would not be real ideal to grow weed in, I wouldn't think. They're too remote and too rough to get into. But then again, meth heads, man, they got energy to spare. You know what I'm saying? So
what if that's just what we're encountering? We're just encountering meth heads.
Meth heads running around. So yeah. Well, it moved too fast to be human. Well, there you go. There you go,
head, bro.
Revitalization. Yeah, he probably just didn't want stuff getting stirred up. I don't know, man. There's something about that. And again, there was no mention about not talking about the email.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
we're definitely not going to share the name or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to share that. I'm not going to dox anybody regardless.
Absolutely not. So, Matt Keenan says, yeah, Joe, you don't take a girl up to our ritualistic animal sacrificial pit on the first date. That sounds like a fun first date.
That sounds like a great date, man.
That sounds like a nice picnic.
Whoa, hold on.
What's up?
Hope y'all met Gypsy Zanvell when he was alive. I'm not familiar with that name. Are
No.
you? I don't know who that is. I'm going to Google it real quick if I can.
Jay Myers says, do y'all wear any special clothing under your regular clothes? We could take this to be Mormon magic underwear, or we could take this to be hex suits.
Yeah,
or...
I do want to experiment with the hex suits that are out there, but
yeah.
Even then, they don't cover your whole body. So, I mean, I guess there'd be some sort of biological EM coming out, I guess, around your face.
So,
I don't know, but I would like to eventually try those. So.
For a little briefing on what, can you explain what hex suits are for people who don't know what they are?
Hex suits are some suits that were brought out.
And it's HECS. When he first mentioned them to me, I was like, hex suits, awesome, because I thought it was HEX. I was like so stoked about it.
So your body obviously naturally generates like electrical energy. Okay. And the idea is that certain types of wildlife can somehow sense that electrical energy. And I mean, that's never been proven, but that's the hypothesis that these people are putting out. And the suits, these hex suits, block it. It's basically like wearing a cloth Faraday cage over your body. And people that use these suits claim, hey, man, I was able to just walk up to this deer and basically touch it. So the idea would be that if these things have similar senses or similar abilities, that they're able to not only just see you, scent you, hear you, maybe they're able to sense your own personal electrical field, which could go into how they're able to dodge game cams so easily and mess with electrical equipment possibly. So yeah, that's the idea, is that you wear these suits under your regular clothing and it blocks your body's own like electrical field to basically make you a null at that point. So I would like to experiment with those. I mean, if we get a few extra $100 laying around one day, we might just order a couple of sets and just see how it goes.
What we could do also is make hex suits, HEX suits. So just be like long underwear that we put sigils all over.
Sigils all over, yeah, exactly.
That block us from evil magical energy.
Like in the Mountains of Madness type stuff. So
that's pretty awesome.
Deuster asked, are there any moonshiners in North Georgia? Not really, not anymore. I mean, there might be some people doing it like in their backyards and all that. But as far as like people going into because we're up and down those mountains all the time. And now that's not to say that it's not happening. It's just, if it is happening, it's so extremely rare. We have never come across any modern evidence of it at all. We found stuff that's decades and decades and decades old up there. Like we found old stills, we found old jugs, but people up there are just not doing it. And, they're just really not doing it. If they are doing it, they're doing it on their own, like their own private land or whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening up through there anywhere. So
Take Two Wheels says, I think that random person has experienced more in-depth activity there and maybe forewarning you because he's gone a little deeper in the experience than you guys. Yeah. So he, like in that initial email that we got, which is at the beginning of Supernatural Lights.
Mm-hmm.
And I always forget that. Screaming Lights and Supernatural Predators.
Yeah.
Why do I forget the title of my own video? But
it's because you're hitting overload right now. Like when you mentioned about the screen going bad at the LBL, I had to stop and think about it because we're out like pretty much every weekend now. And then any like vacation time we get, we're out doing this stuff.
And then we're just reading all of this crazy stuff.
I mean, we talked about that before, that we'll find prints nowadays. We'll be out and we're just like, there's some prints. And then we just walk past them and they're like, no, we really need to get this on camera just in case anything happens. We've got some supporting evidence, but a lot of it's just like old hat now at this point, man, which is weird. You get kind of jaded to some of it.
But also kind of like overloaded.
Yeah, you get overloaded. Definitely.
It's a mental overload sometimes. Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. But he mentioned in that email, that initial email, that this has been something that he's been told by like the old timers.
Well, they said that his grandfather supposedly had gone missing up there. They claimed that he ran off. But he thought that was just something that they told the kids, that he thought that his grandfather used to poach up there, supposedly.
Yeah.
And he made a point to say that his grandfather wasn't a bad guy, that he did it to feed the family.
Yeah.
And that he went missing and that they thought that he had been taken by these lights up there.
Yeah.
And that the more you went up there, the more you saw them, like the more the activity increased. Yeah. So I mean,
he's definitely warning us about something. Barton Nunley says, it takes a lot to creep me out, as you might expect, but that email did. Trust your intuition.
There's something more to this than just a random warning from some anonymous person. And there's something more going on there. And
Jim Thompson says, maybe the email has merit. Be careful. We know so little about what's really out there.
Well, we found small footprints up there, but we've had that on camera. We've talked about that openly, that we found small footprints up there. And he talks about there's no Bigfoot. There's little things and bigger mean things, but he doesn't go into what the bigger mean things are. So I don't know. And again, it could be weird coincidence, and it could be somebody just pulling our leg. We've got to keep that in mind as well. We have to look at this from all angles and realize that it might be. I know that nobody hoaxed that light and nobody's hoaxed a lot of the stuff that's up there. We talk about it all the time that, I mean, unless somebody's coming in on foot through real rough mountainside, coming on foot for 20, 30 miles, because there's no vehicles up there, and they're using completely passive night vision goggles to move around, because we're not seeing any sort of like heat up there from equipment. We're not seeing any infrared light from anybody, and they're moving around quietly just to hassle a couple of idiots with cameras running around the woods at night. Just that's a lot of time, money, and effort just to like hoax a couple of people. Do you know what I'm saying? So
a couple of goofy fruits.
Yeah, but I guess it's not outside the realm of possibility.
No, so, I guess not.
You've got to be open to that.
Mothman 46 goes, you'll know when you leave the mountain without your catalytic converter.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what we were worried about in Corpsewood Manor, definitely. So, you know, what's even weirder is that in this general, not in the exact area, but in that general area, there was a news story about 6 months ago that this area, like everywhere else in the Southeast, is having like a population explosion around certain spots. And we're getting a lot of like people coming in from like the north and out west to move here. There's a lot of people going into some like pretty remote areas just to go like hiking, to try to go into some wilderness and everything like that. And they're having a real problem with vehicles being disabled. They come back and all their tires are slashed and their motors torn up and their gas can. Remember that was the big thing. Gas cans had been punctured and all of that. And it's in areas sometimes where there's really nobody living at. And, you know, your mind immediately goes to these just like people who just don't want outsiders there. Or we talked about earlier, like the feral people thing. Are there like feral people running around there, like messing with people's cars?
Or it could be the meth heads.
Yeah, exactly. Or the meth heads, you know, but.
You know, pick your poison there. Matt Keenan says, Jesse and Joe, let's say it gets too dangerous. One of you gets a Dogman bite to the knee. Could either of you really retire from field work? No. Not now. I mean, what are we supposed to do?
I've waffled back and forth between going, I'm never going to stop doing this, and then me just going, what am I doing? Let's, you know.
Yeah.
It gets a little overwhelming sometimes, man. So.
Yeah, but can you ever go to living a normal life?
No, probably not. I mean, no.
I don't think. I mean, number one, look at me.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's, and we always talk about that too. She'll talk about something like, well, you know, we got to worry about this in the future. I'll be like, we're probably both going to die in the woods one night, man. Just, you know, future will take care of itself at this point. So, all right, let's see. People talking about meth heads.
Barton says, sounds to me like he knows exactly what's
that might be what I'm picking up on, because it seems like there's some either some subtext there that I'm not picking up on, or there is the tone changed. Let's just be honest. The first email, and you can go back and look at, like, listen to her talk about it in the Screaming Lights video. The first email sounded like just a simple old country boy who was kind of giving us some advice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There were some misspellings and the grammar was a little off. And this one seems to be the same person. The whole tone seems different.
The tones, he's obviously getting perturbed that we are still up there.
So, and again, he might be watching this right now, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he'll get ticked that we're still talking about it and never email us again. Or at this point, we're not getting any information that's actionable.
I know. We have no, I need some more information.
Yeah,
but,
so.
At least he emailed us back, you know?
Because we tried to email that. We tried to respond. When you fill out a form on our website, you have to put in an email address. and we tried to contact him back at that and never got it. But we didn't get a, you know, how you'll get a bounce back. This email is undeliverable. So it's going to an address that's workable. And then he tells us that address is not good anymore. And he's switched to another one, but he's used the same name in it. And he's obviously referenced some of the stuff that we haven't talked about from the first. It's the same guy.
Yeah.
Or at least somebody who's associated with that guy.
Yeah.
So
Take Two Wheels says, have you guys tried using divining rods for energy locations? No, but the Dooster is going to show me how to do it.
Yes.
So when I see the Dooster, and we do a little bit of field work together, he's going to teach me the ways of the divination rod.
Not today, Savant. Everybody switched to bathtub craft beer in North Georgia.
Yeah,
Ain't
they
that the
did.
truth? So yeah.
Anthony Pruitt says, maybe he's tracking you. Have you checked your car for a tracking device? And yes, there are moonshiners still in Georgia.
There is no detectable tracking device on our car. I've checked it. Now, if it's something that there's no commercially available tracking device on our car. So yeah, I've checked it. So, yeah, there might very well be moonshiners. There's just none in this area that we're going into. I mean, we're all up and down it, and we found old stills, but it's just not. It's not in our area at this point.
Yeah, nothing current. We've not found evidence of anything current.
So Tracker's got hex and human pheromones. So we had those Sasquatch pheromone chips, right? And the company that makes those has apparently just stopped making them. So we still have a few left that we're going to use, but so I'm trying to think beyond what happens when we exhaust these Sasquatch pheromone chips. These Sasquatch pheromone chips are reproductive scents from great apes and humans, basically, right? That they have blended together and put on like a chip. So once those are gone, I got to figure out our next step. So I was actually emailing bio supply companies the other night. I told Bart Nunley this. I was like, I'm probably going to get picked up for like bioterrorism. Emailing these like biotech supply houses this week, trying to buy gorilla urine from them.
Oh, come on. And he goes, what did you say to me? I've been on the phone with Barton Nunley telling him how I'm trying to get a hold of some gorilla piss. Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God.
So trying to see if they'll sell a private citizen gorilla urine, because they've got it for sale for mostly like labs and stuff like that. And you can specify male, female, anything like that. So
just trying to get a hold of some gorilla piss.
Just a simple man trying to get some gorilla urine. Not that I think a Sasquatch is a gorilla, but I want to see what something would do to a novel scent like that being introduced into the environment. So, yeah, we're going to see if I'm able to get it. We'll see if we still have a PO box after that's all said and done. So.
Yeah, the post office is getting a little tired of me and my
Take Two Wheels sent us that
Bobcat.
That mountain lion Bobcat lure.
Oh my God.
And even with it being like double bagged, the guy looked at you just like, what are you doing?
He's like, what are you guys doing?
You know, why are you guys
Why do you get these packages? Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Deborah Stewart says, hi, Jess and Joe. I've been binge watching UFO Witness with Ben Hansen. It's up to date, covers everything so far. 2 seasons, couldn't quit watching. That's a great show.
It's a great show. And here's what's up is that I associated Ben Hansen with just, what's that, like Paranormal Fact or Faked, whatever he used to be on. Just one of those things where they just go, hey, we've got a concept. Let's throw a bunch of people onto it and just do whatever. And then the UFO Witness was like phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it, and I'm probably going to rewatch it again over the next few weeks. But I saw a thing where these guys went out, a couple of journalists went out with Ben Hansen, and he took them out into the off the California coast where like all the Tic Tac footage was filmed.
Yeah.
Right? Ben Hansen's like hardcore. Ben Hansen's like just with them, and he's going, here are the charts that I've developed up with like, Ben Hansen like does this stuff because come on, man, you guys know that Josh Gates, that when the camera's off, he's off to the golf course, man. He doesn't live, eat, and breathe this stuff, Ben Hansen looks like not only does he do this for a living, but this is just what he does. Like, he's busting out like military grade night vision that belongs to him, because they were going, these are just 2 journalists. They're going, we didn't have any of this equipment. But
I like that Ben Hansen is like getting unhinged. I like it.
No, he was into it. He had like charts where he was going, I've plotted this and I've done this, and now I'm looking, I've detected, I guess he paid to get some sort of like magnetic anomaly map or something like that. And he's going, there's a magnetic anomaly through here. I think there's something under the water. And I'm just going, Ben Hansen's like hardcore. And you just wouldn't think that by watching him when he like guest stars on like Ghost Adventures. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
you know.
I wanted to see Ben Hansen at Crypticon. We didn't go to Crypticon this year, just because we had other stuff going on. And but yeah, I wanted to see Ben Hansen at Crypticon. That was the only person I really, really wanted to see was Ben Hansen, because David Pilates canceled on that.
Yeah.
What the flock's in the house?
What the flock?
What the flock? Now watch we start talking about him. We'll have the weird stuff happening.
Yeah.
Because he's possessed.
A lot of talk about divinations. FBI open up.
Not again.
Annual sales of Gorilla is going to get to the roof. Nobody has responded to my inquiries, so I guess I'm going to have to call directly. And then I know that somebody's going to ask, what do you want it for? And I'm going to have to just be honest. I'm just going to go, hey, listen, I know this sounds crazy. You know, I'm involved in like paranormal and just weird research, and I want this, and just, I mean, because what other excuse are you going to use? Like I'm a high school science teacher and I need it for like a classroom project. You know, I mean, there's really not a lot of uses for gorilla piss out there, man. So
we gotta we gotta get the hookup on the gorilla piss.
Yeah.
We gotta have like a guy, you know, you gotta know a guy, a supplier. Matt Keenan said he'll pee in a cup for $10.
Oh, there we go.
We need like certified, like I need like a stamp on there to say that it's authentic gorilla piss.
So Dogman pheromone chips. Well, that's what we tried to do with the LBL, because I had whether it's true or not, one of the things around the original LBL, that 82 massacre, was that there had been samples taken, and then those samples were later on tested for DNA, and they came back with human, canine, and then gorilla, basically like primate characteristics. So we took the Sasquatch pheromone chips, which are gorilla and human, and then we took the wolf lore, which is reproductive sense from wolves, and we kind of mixed it all together to see if, again, even if that is not true, again, the idea is you're introducing something novel and new into something's environment, and maybe it'll respond. It'll respond out of curiosity, maybe feeling a challenge, like some other new predator into the area, or maybe just curious to kind of go, hey, what's going on down here? So, but yeah, we're gonna try to get that gorilla pee anyway. So,
what the flock? You know what? He just got in here, and we're already on to his ex-wife. I can one up your gorilla piss and probably get y'all some of my ex-wife's piss. It's not a Hellbent Holler live stream if it's not what the flock just throwing his ex-wife under the bus.
That's a good idea. And a certified photo of the monkey peeing in the cup. How do I know this is legit?
Yeah,
man,
I need a chain of custody on this.
Yeah, on this gorilla pee. So again, it's funny, but at the same token, though, I mean, we're constantly, this is what we like do in our spare time nowadays, guys, is we sit around and we're just constantly trying to think up like new approaches, new things to try.
This is the cross we bear.
Yeah, this is where we're at in life. But oh God. Anyway, just trying to think up new stuff, man. I mean, again, the same old stuff is that if we had like 1,000 people doing this sort of stuff, and all of us were constantly just trying to think up like new approaches, new avenues to take, new things to try, anything to try to either collect data or to get footage or to do something, we'd be so much further along. We don't need any. People are always asking, did you cast that print? No, because there's enough cast prints out there, man. I mean, there's enough people casting prints. I mean, we have casting material we take with us. I don't even know if we've got enough left to cast like a full-size print at this point.
Probably not.
I mean, and I don't care. I mean, and sometimes we'll look at prints and I'll go, I can't get it on the camera. I don't care to cast it. There's enough cast prints out there that's been just beaten to death at this point. Let's try some other stuff, man. You know, let's try some novel stuff.
Tracker, you keep driving by my still and you smell like gorilla piss. Can you give me a break? Sorry. Oh God. Make sure you guys hit that like button.
Yeah,
please.
man, come on. Yeah.
Thank you. Hit that like button, everybody. If you're here enjoying the Friday night stream here, ambling through.
Barton says to tell them that we're hunting Bigfoot. May even come away with a monthly government check. Oh, look at me on the payroll. There,
on the payroll.
Yeah,
SEAL Team Joe.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that's going to be doable. I mean, there's probably some sort of, there's no probably about it. I'm sure it's a biohazard to a certain degree, and there probably needs to be some sort of certification that it can be stored safely. And I'm sure that our refrigerator is probably not up to Gorilla Piss code. You know what I'm saying?
Please don't.
Yeah. Hold on. Red Wolf goes, yeah, exactly. That's if you watch our discussion after the werewolf experiments, that was the whole idea of it. Because we mentioned that part of that 1982 massacre thing involved, there was somebody had hypothesized that the parents were wearing like that 80s like musky cologne, and the cologne had drifted down in, and that's what brought the beast down.
Drakkar Noir.
Yeah, Drakkar Noir, but or karate. But that was more than likely kind of tacked onto the story later on, and we knew that. But at the same token,
it gave us an idea.
Is that you're going to introduce these three scents that are there, and is it going to make it curious? Is it going to tick it off and make it want to fight? Is it going to think that it's prey, or is it going to, we hear about these things having an interest in women sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Is it going to make it something that it wants to mate with, to try to like appeal to one of those biological like directives that all like life forms seem to have. So,
yeah.
So that was the idea. So we'll see about, we'll see what we can do. Sorry. When I'm chilling, playing some Overwatch 2 or listening to music or whatever, Joe's working on securing Gorilla Piss. What a life. Yeah. And it's funny because the whole thing's funny.
So people are suggesting that we get in touch with somebody that works with gorillas or primates and try to.
I don't know anybody that works with gorillas or primates, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean,
that would make it easier, but that's just not something. We had a zoologist near here that a mutual person who's mutually interested in this was going to hook us up with, because we wanted to get some stuff tested, but he
was worried about getting in trouble because he worked for a local university.
Yeah, and he was worried that it was going to cause him problems, even if he was doing it off company time here. But
Jesus. Well, the flock says, well, you're in luck. I was married to a gorilla primate for 25 years.
Here we go. This was if Barton's still on here, because Barton and I are texting back and forth. I'm on the couch. We're talking about the weather because this is when all the cold weather was sweeping in. And then I just went, I'm in the process of getting put on some bioterrorism watch list. I'm contracting a few biolabs to try to get some male and female gorilla piss. Probably get picked up by the FBI before the weather gets bad. So not to worry about it. So, yeah.
Hey, 3 hots and a cod of the gorilla piss.
So, Jay Myers says, have you checked any trapper sites? Yeah. The wolf lore that we got was made in small batches from a guy who apparently was like the authority in like wolf lore back when wolf trapping was big. And then obviously that fell out as the wolf populations died down. Well, now I think it's like his grandsons and his son or something like that have started up the old family wolf pee business and are cranking some out. So I got in touch with them, and they sent us they sent us 3 bottles that looked like repurposed, I don't know, some sort of medicine bottles of some sort. And they were sealed with black electric tape.
Yeah.
And they were shoved in a Walmart Great Value sandwich bag and then sealed and then packed with paper towels into a box and then just shipped out to us. So, but it's pretty rank stuff. It seems like I don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah. When we use
it's my initial foray into the wolf.
We got that classic homebrew
wolf. Yeah.
Wolf.
But yeah, we've checked trapper sites. So I figured the wolf would be good. And then we got the bobcat lore.
Yeah.
So
William Dudas, $50 super sticker, brother.
It's going right to Gorilla Pee, man. Thank you.
It's that Gorilla Pee fund.
Going into the Gorilla Pee.
You know what? I think we've really made it in life when we have
people paying us to talk about
gorilla piss.
Trying to get
we buy gorilla piss and we're saving up for a helicopter. I think that stuff's okay, Joe.
Life's not bad. Here's to 2023.
Stuff's all right. Yeah. Things are gonna Things are gonna be all right. Seriously, though, thank you for that. That's awesome. That is badass.
Thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Kaiju Ninja.
And I'm not and all joking aside, if I can honestly get some gorilla pee, that's where that money's
yeah. All jokes aside, you got.
I'd like to take some gorilla urine, male and female, and like test it out, and just see in some of these areas what effect it has. If it tries to, I just want to see if I can try to make something curious or make something want to fight, so, and bring it in. The idea would be that my plan is that if I can get a hold of it, I want to put some around that tree where we caught those growls at. And then there's a ridge line up around it because this whole thing's in a little bowl. So I want to bait that area with it. And then we move up to the ridge line and then kind of observe with thermal imagers and see if anything comes in.
Yeah.
One of us kind of watch the valley while the other one kind of watches our back.
Yeah. Because we tried we tried with game cams in the LBL.
We tried the game cams up there and it's never worked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's never worked. So
I'm not a huge fan of the game cam. It's always it's such a letdown every time, even if you get like something, it's still like, it could be a bug, you just don't have like eyes on.
Yeah.
It's better to have like direct eyes on, visual of it.
Tracker sent me a link to human pheromones. It's expensive, man. It's like $300-$400.
That's because all of these like pickup artist dudes are like trying to convince these dudes that they need to put the pheromones on.
So yeah, I couldn't find anything about like how they source them or anything like that. So
Grace W, $10 to the Gorilla Pee and Helicopter Fund. You know what? We need a commercial. Like that. We'll have like Sarah McLachlan.
For $5 a day,
for $5 a day, you can have Joe. I can have a helicopter, and Joe can have as much gorilla pee.
Hey, William, do this, by the way. Reach out to us on our email address.
Send us an email.
Send us an email
at gmail.com.
If you don't mind.
Down below.
Yeah, get in touch with us if you don't mind. Boy, that gorilla pee was a big hit. I mean,
what? So we had somebody mentioned earlier that we had the Dogman nipple discussion, and then what was the other?
Every week, I don't know. I've lost track at this point. So everybody turns into a comedian on the chat whenever we start to talk about this stuff. It's all ex-wives and girlfriends and. Kaiju Ninja says that honestly, I think having a woman around is a good attraction for them. Sorry, Jesse. That much is true. I've talked about this in the past that I'll go out into these same areas. Now, I don't go into the spot in North Georgia by myself. I just don't go up in there by myself. But I've gone into other areas where we've had activity at fairly regularly with her, and then I go up there by myself and it's quiet. It's nothing ever. I've never had anything happen to me when I'm solo in the woods since we've started doing this. And again, I don't know if it's anything about you in particular, or if it's just a female, because I've never really gone out there with just like solo, like another female before. I don't know. I mean, we've taken a Katie with us, ghost hunter, and some other stuff happened, but
listen, you better not be going on the woods with other women.
Bigfoot hunting with other women, but there definitely seems to be something to that there is that women seem to attract the activity there. Yeah, I don't know why. So
Dead End Yard Hunt, $199 for Godzilla pee. We're really getting up there now.
No doubt. So thank you, buddy. So thank you.
Oh,
and you know what? You can say a lot of stuff about us. You can at least say that we're not like every other group of people out there trying to look into this stuff, man.
Yeah. Certainly special people we are. Red Wolf says, don't know if it would help with Dogman, but trappers often use skunk scent, usually called long distance call lure. Is that what it is? Long distance call lure to attract almost every. It's weird that we got some problems here. It's weird that every animal would come to a skunk, but it works. So
is counterintuitive, but I wasn't aware of that.
But skunks get hit on the highway all the time, and there's skunk scent out there. You don't see other animals like.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that their scent gland would be because now you smell it. I mean, I'm gonna look into that, Red Wolf. Thank you, because I don't have much of a trapping background.
Give it a try.
I kind of went down the rabbit hole on it, but I was mostly looking at like wolf and coyote stuff at that point. But so skunk scent. I wonder if it's as pungent as like regular skunk. I would assume it's even more pungent. So
Oh yeah, here Alex reminded me. Here we were talking about the sexy Sasquatch
woman
Chronicles episode. Oh, God, I hate that episode. Tracker $4.99. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Tracker. So, boy, we got a lot of people with bad marriages in the chat. Almost that's poor Jay Myers got an ex-wife and a female roommate. Y'all can use as bait. So,
help and holler. Lonely help and holler. Lonely Hearts Club.
Stingray 1975. It's gross, but I had a friend who used to deer hunt, and he tied his wife's used tampons to his shoes. He said it worked big time. Somebody out there will know who this was, but you guys remember the Bigfoot researcher, and I think it was back in the 90s. He was going into rest stops. Like he was going into like rest stops on the side of the road, like going into the women's restroom and like fishing out like used feminine products and tying them to trees, trying to lure in Sasquatch. I can't remember who that was, and I'm not gonna Google it either. But somebody in the chat will know who that was. So
please don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm surprised that one of these like crazy like YouTuber people don't like stake out a woman on her period like as.
I think somebody's talked about doing that in the past too. So
like stake her out there, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
woof. Woof.
Somebody's saying that beaver scent does really well for trapping. More stuff about skunks. See about ferrets. A lot of good stuff when What the Flock says he uses any scent when he fishes. Actually, the Sasquatch pheromone chips were made by a company that does a lot of fishing like lure scents. That's what they mostly, it's Osmic Labs or something like that. That's mostly what they focused on. And I don't know how they got into the Sasquatch pheromone biz, but they're not answering emails now and their website's down. So I don't even think they do them anymore.
What the Flock? Jesus.
Entirely too much information. Hey man, it's yeah, exactly.
Wow.
We're just sighing at this point. Anyway.
Yeah, we really
but on a serious note,
hit that like button, everybody.
Yeah, no doubt.
But don't dig through trash cans at rest stops. Please.
If anybody has a line on anybody who works, that's a shot in the dark with like primatologists or anything like that. Like I said, I'm looking at like biolabs that like deal with all manner of like different primates, different like, you know, you can get blood, everything like that. And I'm sure they get some people weirder than me trying to contact them to get stuff. But nobody has answered me, and that's either for the holidays or if it's just like, why is this dude with a Gmail account? You know, they probably usually get stuff from like universities or like, you know, tech companies or anything like that.
Here, well, you got to put urgent in the subject line.
Okay, urgent. There you go. Maybe it's the holidays. Maybe it's the fact that, yeah.
Alex W says Jesse talking about crazy YouTuber people, pot meat kettle.
Yeah. We just talked about Gorilla Pee for 20 minutes, and then let him who
glass houses.
Yeah, glass houses.
Glass houses.
Let him who has never tried to buy Gorilla Pee over the internet cast the first stone. So,
my goodness.
Jake Fair, thank you. $10. It's just all going on the Gorilla Pee fund.
That's going. Hey, helicopters and Gorilla Pee. That's what dreams are made of.
Joe put Gorilla Piss ? In the email title.
Gorilla Piss.
Yeah. So
who's not going to open that email?
Yeah,
they're going to open that one.
Yes, I mean, oh good Lord! And like I said, I mean, it might just be as simple as somebody might get in touch with me like Tuesday, and then just go, yeah, what do you need? You have to send it. It has to be refrigerated. And you have to tell them whether you want like one big container. You have to tell them how many
divide it out.
Yeah, or like if you want it in smaller containers.
Can you get like a wholesale discount, you think?
I don't know. There's no prices listed with any of this stuff.
Oh God, if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
You can't afford it. So. But there's no prices listed. You have to send an inquiry in on all of them, because I checked around. I found a few people that had it, and nobody had it where you could just like order it. You have to send in an inquiry on it, tell her whether you want male or female, how much you want, whether you want it in one big container, divided into smaller containers. It has to be refrigerated. You know, you don't want stale gorilla pee.
No.
You don't want to expire.
Oh my gosh.
But
Jay Myers, check with any high school custodian and get what you're looking for in girls' restrooms. Jay Myers, that's how you go to jail.
Yeah, exactly, man.
That's how you go to jail, straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Hey guys, it's Jay, just checking in from the federal pen.
Yeah. Straight to jail.
Stingray 1975. Wow, thank you. $20 into the Gorilla P Fund. Might be a touchy subject, but I'm on the fence with Roger LBL. Thoughts? Immediately followed by, I think Roger's full of it. If you watch our very first LBL video, all right, I'm going to be very diplomatic, because one of the things that grinds my gears is the constant infighting that goes on, and the fact that some people, I guess it's easy in this field to get sucked into spending all your time on that. And I think it's counterproductive to a certain degree, to a huge degree. I try not to judge people's stories that they bring to us, because we hear some crazy stories. You know what I'm saying? We hear some real crazy stories. And where do you draw that line at, man? You know, you're going to believe something on this side of the crazy, but not there. So it's people's stories to tell. So we don't try to judge anybody for stuff like that. When we started, we didn't really pay much attention to the Dogman subject, other than maybe finding it kind of humorous, to be honestly, right?
Yeah.
You know, we associated it with just crazy, like, you know, online claims and like stories of, you know, government agents having firefights with, you know, werewolves and everything like that, and just stuff that just didn't seem possible to us at the time. And we started getting really credible reports of like upright wolf creatures north of us in North Carolina. One of which is our friend who's not on here tonight that runs Cryptid Response. That's how we got to be friends with him. We drove up and spoke to him and went and looked at the area of it. And he's as, you know, the guy's a preacher, man. He's as believable as you get. You know what I'm saying? And we started to pay attention to that and kind of realize that there was something to that phenomenon, but we weren't sure what. And at about that same time, Roger came forward with his story, and we mentioned Roger a few times in our first LBL video. His claims and his story and everything like that. There was a lot of friction when he first came on to the scene. A lot of people who had been involved in this for years just immediately called BS on him. And there was a lot of infighting. It got really ugly at a certain extent, man. You know what I'm saying? That's when I pretty much stepped away from Dogman related social media, because I'd started getting into this because we were getting reports from it. And I'm, you know, joined some Facebook groups just to kind of get my finger on the pulse. And people are throwing death threats around and stuff like that, and just it got ugly really quick.
Wasn't there going to be a hootenanny? Like at the dog? Wasn't there going to be like
a
throw?
This is before that. This was like the original.
That's like the throwdown at the Dogman
and hootenanny. Yeah, but it got really like bitter, and it cooled off, and now it's just like bitter again. We don't, I guess the best way to say it is that, so we know that there's something going on at the LPL. Okay. We know it. We have, short of having like a body on a slab, there's something going on there. We got that thermal image. We found those footprints. There's more going on than like upright canid creatures there, but that's going on too, at the LBL. So when we go back to the LBL, we have some stuff planned, and we have also been doing
thorough research
on the LBL, because I think that when Roger first came out, and that tempers flared up too much with all of this stuff. I personally, somebody else telling a story doesn't have any effect on my efforts to look into this stuff, or her efforts. So whether we agree or disagree with them, that's meaningless. You know what I'm saying? We're focused on doing research on it. There are, I'd say if there's one thing we're good at, because we're not federal agents,
You're drawing this out.
I know I am, but I mean, we're if there's one good thing is we're good at thinking outside the box, and we're good at researching stuff and picking up on details. So I think our next LBL outing will, when we release it, reveal some of the stuff that we found kind of looking into it.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
There you go. Yes.
I wish everybody could just kind of get along in this field and not fight. So we'll leave it at that.
So What the Flock is foregoing his alimony payment this month because he sent us $19.99. So the alimony is not being paid this month. Take that, ex-wife.
Take that, ex-wife. Thank you, sir. So,
and you can tell her, yeah, I spent it on gorilla pee.
Good Lord. All right. Anyway, Central Florida Bigfoot is in here. Hello, Central Florida
Matt.
Bigfoot. I watched Matt's recent video on there. It was phenomenal on Central Florida Bigfoot. If you guys have not checked his channel out, he does boots on the ground research in Central Florida, as if you didn't pick that up on
He does paddle in the water.
Yeah, it's cool because it's completely different than what we do. And he's somebody else that really just kind of approaches this stuff with like an open mind. He takes a rational approach, but he's not doing the same thing that everybody else is out there doing. And not to mention that his stuff is just like beautifully shot. Matter of fact, his last video, I don't think you've seen his last video that came out. I watched it the other night on like the big screen TV, and then I had to rewatch it because I wasn't even paying attention to what was going on because the scenery was so beautiful. So all right, let's go through here for the whirly bird and we fund. No way. Hold on. It was not David Paulides that searched for that, was it? No. Tell me it ain't true.
This is blaspheme. Take that off the screen.
So, Patrick Phillips says, how many ancient cultures have stories and drawings of dogman-like creatures? A lot of them. Something that's really interesting that's like a side note that we've mentioned in the past. The stone carvings don't really last long here because of the environment, not like they do in the Southwest where they have things that are just hundreds, if not like 1,000 years old, petroglyphs and everything like that. They don't last long here because of the environment. But there are some petroglyphs in the Uwharrie of all places that show canine-headed figures and all of that. So it's really interesting. We have seen some of the petroglyphs near here that we looked at, and they were going, they were telling us that it represented something, and we looked at it and we were going, oh, they said it was like a bird man. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we were like, those ain't feathers, man. That's fur. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we have there's a few like really, really nice petroglyph sites around here that we can actually go and look at the petroglyphs and see them for ourselves. And there's some on there that they claim is like a dedication to a bird god or something like that, like a birdman god. And I was like, that's not feathers, guys. That's fur. That's the carvings of fur, because they have carvings of feathers nearby, and they are not the same. It's not the same style or texture as the carvings of what appears to be fur. Blue Cruise, thank you for the 5, my friend.
Thank you very, very much.
Rob S.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
ahead.
Okay. William Kennedy had said that not only Martin Groves 100% true, what I believe, no doubt in my mind at all. D.A. Roberts as well. We've become friends with both Barton and Martin over the past couple of years. And, Barton, I don't know if he's still in here or not, but that's somebody who was affected by these things at like an early age. Yeah. And it's kind of been like his life's like mission. And that's somebody who is just, hasn't really been into this for the money or to do anything like that at all, but just to try to find some truth to it and to try to do it. Martin Groves is somebody who I've said it on here before. He's like an impeccable witness. I mean, Martin Groves' word could have got you put away in jail. And if you can, I'm just telling you right now, man, I mean, we hear people's firsthand accounts all the time. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody as believable and as moving as Martin Groves. You know what I'm saying? So D.A. Roberts, we don't really know that well. I mean, we've traded a few messages back and forth with him, but he seems like an all around great guy. I just don't know him to the extent, but I've heard nothing but great things about him. So
Rob S has an interesting one here. I might get nailed to a cross for this one, so sorry. I have to be general. Right now, one state away from you, a dark group lowered a young girl's immune system to accept canine embryos. Be in a few weeks. This is wild.
What? So, all right, a dark group lowered a girl's immune system to accept canine embryos. Rob S., helmetholler@gmail.com. If you were comfortable sharing any details with that about us,
slide in that inbox, my friend. I have to hear more
away
about
from
this.
us because
I have to hear about.
We'll be in that area and we'll be in that area as quick as we can if that's something that we can look into. Yeah, please. That's an absolutely insane young girl's immune system to accept canine embryos.
It's happening.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in chat.
The chimeras.
Ever. So, wow. Okay. And there's a follow-up. And both are still alive. Make with that what you will in relation to Darkman. A dark group? Is that what he called it?
Yeah, a dark group.
Dude, you've got to reach out to us, man. Please don't just leave that comment and then not. Please reach out to us. And even if you go, hey, this is all I can share and that's it, don't ask me anymore, we will abide by it. I mean, we're not releasing this guy's name who sent us those weird emails. I mean, we can be trusted. I mean, it's I would love to hear more about this. Oof.
William Dudas says LBL and Rend Lake in Southern Illinois were man-made and signed off by JFK. Any Southern Illinois reports, Dogman reports. And it just came out that they took JFK out, huh? So what did he know? What did he know about?
That's weird. So
the Dogman and the sequestering of these lands.
Well, Stingray, that is extremely kind of you. Thank you for explaining that. I get it. I can't understand why tempers have to flare. Everybody should just get along and share information. Team Helmet. Thank you, man.
Team Helmet, yeah.
Yeah, I know I got a little long-winded on that. It's just that it's difficult to. There are people out there that I look at their story and I just go, "There's no way that happened." You know what I'm saying? And then I have to catch myself and go, "They probably look at us and say the exact same thing."
Yeah.
You know? So you have to temper that. And my thing is too is that I guess I don't approach this. When I say that, it's just because that just seems so outside the realm of possibility. You're just going, wow. But this stuff happens to us, so we don't naturally approach people going, we disbelieve you, you know? When I hear that, I'm just like, no way. Like, not like you're a liar, but like, is such a thing possible, you know? But it's, again, if we had like 1,000 people doing this and everybody took a different approach to it, we'd get so far, you know.
Yeah.
I don't need to agree with somebody's theories or approaches to want them to do it. I mean, not everybody needs to follow the same weird gorilla pee driven, you know, approach that we take. So yeah, I mean, I just wish people could go, hey, listen, that's not the approach I'm going to take, but I wish you all the luck and let's compare notes when it's done. You see that in the Bigfoot community all the time, like the flesh and blood people and then like the woo people. And I'm just going, why are you guys worried about that? It sounds like all the bases are covered at this point, you know? I mean, but yeah, I just, like I said, it almost seems like drama is stirred up on purpose sometimes just to kind of maybe keep us focused on that as opposed to focused on trying to actually
Stingray
get some
actually
answers.
has a good follow-up with that too. Even in the UFO community, there are people who inject themselves into the subject just to inject misinformation.
That's been going on since the 50s, and some of that is government sponsored as well. Not even like long before Richard Doty became a household name, people were going to UFO groups, keeping tabs on people, and then trying to just basically stir up drama.
Yeah.
Because if you're fighting with each other, then you're not looking for what you originally intended to look.
Divide and conquer works for a reason.
Yep. So. No helmet holler ball cap or trucker hat on the website. We had a Teespring account that I think we shut down, didn't we?
No, I think we still have a Teespring.
Don't anything off of it. Don't. I mean, we need to
shut it down.
Yeah, we need to shut it down. The quality was terrible. We just put it on there because some people wanted some stuff and we weren't prepared to. We don't really do a lot of merch just because we're like a 2-man show, but we'll eventually put some stuff out because this logo was that Jonathan Dodd did for us is pretty rad.
Yeah,
so.
I get Agenda Trading Company to do my t-shirts with this logo on it, but we don't sell those shirts. Eventually, I guess we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
What we might end up doing is maybe a pre-order for stuff like that, where we can, I can give Jacob I can get pre-orders done and then give Jacob like a big order for that, and they're done on like high quality t-shirts and they're hand screen printed professionally. And now with the hats and stuff, like Joe's hat here we got patches made and then we just stick them on whatever hats we're wearing.
And pull patches are like expensive as all get out.
They're
man.
very expensive. Very expensive. If anybody has like a patch supplier that I can
hook
go
us
through,
up, man. Because
let me know, and I'll if you have a suggestion of who I can go through to get patches made, because I'd like to have patches made. And I had this idea that eventually I wanted to do a patch design. It would look like a union patch, but it'd be the Hellbenders Union, and I'd send that out to you guys. So if anybody's got like a source on some patches that I can get them done, I'd like to do that.
There's some talk about chimeras and everything like that. Chimeras going on, and then I just saw this here. Rad Racer said chimeras mostly went into hiding after the invention of firearms. That's something that I've talked about and kind of thought about in the past, is that if you look at a lot of Native American tradition, for every one of the tribes that had stories about, the Forest Brothers and all that, there's 3 or 4 that talk about cannibal giants and everything like that. Somewhere along the line, these things went from creatures that would just go into villages at night and take women and children and do everything like that to being much more reclusive. And that's one of the things I've thought about, was that the advent of firearms. The Oklahoma, Bigfoot war that happened, supposedly, I think it was not Choctaw, I can't remember which tribe it was, went in and like killed a bunch of these things with like Sharp's buffalo rifles and all of that. And I'm thinking, well, you have somebody who has, basically Stone Age weaponry, lances, clubs, bows and arrows, and then all of a sudden now you've got somebody with like Sharp's buffalo rifles,
What is that, an atlatl?
Atlatls, yeah. So but I just think that and then you always hear, well, they were able to take down like woolly mammoths and all that. Megafauna, woolly mammoth's not moving as quick as a Sasquatch is, you know what I'm saying, and doesn't have the thinking ability and all of that. So it's kind of comparing apples to oranges.
That's like the mammoth thing is too. It's like African tribes can take down elephants. It's humans have endurance. That's the thing. It's humans have that endurance factor, so they can hit something and then just follow it around till it dies. We have that endurance. I was gonna say here, Stingray 1975 says he wants a Hellbent Speedo.
Hellbent Speedo. Oh, good Lord. All right, let's see. Yeah, especially patches ain't cheap at all. Yeah, especially those pull patch ones, man. They were they were pretty pricey, man. So
I was married to a megafauna. Her name was Donna.
There's a lot of that has become a helmet holler tradition on this, man. So
the tale of the ex-wives on the Helmet Holler Live.
So all right, so let's recap, shall we?
All right, let's go over
getting a helicopter. I'm probably on an FBI watch list for trying to watch like gorilla urine is like a key component and like some like nerve agent or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna think I'm in Al Qaeda.
I'm trying to make I try to take notes on stuff while we're doing this, so when I do the description stuff at the end when we get done with these, so I can post them on the page. Should I write gorilla piss as like one of the topics that we covered?
Yes, indeed. So yes, indeed. All right, guys. Well, we were going to go an hour and a half. We're up on 2.5 hours right now. If anybody's got anything that they want to throw into chat to discuss, actually, Take Two Wheels. I have one of those Arlo night vision security cameras. We actually have Arlos all around we have maxed out our Arlo server. We have Arlos all around we put Arlos up when we started having weird activity in the woods next to our house after we were doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And we never caught anything on camera. Well, it'll go off sometimes by itself, but that could just be the wind shaking a branch or something. But yeah, we are covered in exterior cameras on like that. So Jay Myers asked how many patches you're looking to get made up. I don't know. We'll have to let you know on that. That's just something we're kind of toying around with.
Still in a early stage of that kind of thing.
We have to watch out doing like merchandise just because I don't want this to turn into like just a commercial endeavor. B, we don't really have a lot of time to do it. I mean, between regular jobs and then the actual just investigation portion of it there, I mean, that takes up the majority of our time. I mean,
that's everything.
I mean, but I mean, a lot of people want shirts and hats and patches and stuff like that. So we might have to figure out a way to.
We can do some runs.
Do that and just do it at cost or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's something to look into. What the flock goes? Are you gonna? Yeah, I figured the plan was do like an hour and a half tonight, and then another one on Monday.
Bye, Frank.
But we'll probably we like the Monday ones. I know some people weren't able to get in tonight. But yeah, we'll probably do another one for it. So
yeah, we'll probably do one Monday. We just because we're gonna have to kind of go over everything. We wanted to do this Friday one just because we missed Monday because of Christmas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It is New Year's Eve tomorrow.
It is New Year's Eve tomorrow. If we're able to get out, if the storms aren't too bad, we will be in the woods in an liminal time to cross over from one year to another.
Yeah.
So that will add to the energy out there if you believe in such a thing. I'm going back through here. Who was it that mentioned about the dog uterus? Rob S.
Mothman 46 said something about implanting, how the embryos implant.
Yeah, but I just wanted to see who originally made that comment.
Oh, Rob S made the original.
It was Rob S. Rob S, if you're still on here, please reach out to us, man. That's going to keep me up tonight if I don't get any sort of like additional information for it.
Oh, God. Why can't you sleep? Just thinking about these Dogman embryos.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, hey, man, when I stumbled upon Nephilim host mother concept, that kept me up a couple nights, man. I couldn't get out of it. So,
yeah, you guys have a great New Year too.
Yeah,
we're really excited. Actually, yeah, let's get over some of that stuff. We did a little bit of a year review, walk down memory lane a little bit, but let's look forward to 2023 and what we, Hellbent Holler, have planned for you.
We will be back in the LBL.
We are going back to the LBL, which we have discussed before.
Before spring.
We are going to return to the LBL, and we're going to be there for a while. We're going to be there like a while.
Another like 9, 10, 12 days, something like that.
Yeah. And so we're going to hit that hard. We've got some new locations we want to check out.
We've got some new equipment we want to check out.
We're going to take out there. We're going to do our infrasound experiment.
We still have the infrasound equipment that we got that I've been tinkering around with. And I still am of the mind that it's not infrasound, but I could be wrong. Nobody's ever tested it for it. And that's why that makes me think that that's maybe not what's happening to people when they feel zapped. To me, when people are reporting feeling zapped, if you looked at the symptoms that people report, it's basically like electromagnetic hypersensitivity. It's like where you've been hit with like an electromagnetic field, which doesn't seem possible from just an upright mammal. So that's a whole nother kettle of fish that you're opening up. But we're going to try the infrasound equipment. Infrasound's a low frequency sound wave. So low frequency waves travel quite a bit. And if people are getting hit with infrasound and that is what's affecting them, it's got to be pretty powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because elephants use infrasound and people work around elephants both in captivity and then the wild. And you don't see zookeepers dropping down left and right from it. So it's got to be much more powerful than anything else in nature puts out. Much more powerful means we'll be able to detect it and then triangulate in on it. As far as I know, no one's really used this sort of equipment for this purpose before. So we're going to take that into the LBL and see if we can triangulate in on something giving off massive amounts of infrasound. So we're looking forward to doing that. We are looking forward to going into the area at Station 16 where all of our equipment got drained and take some EM pumps, some electromagnetic pumps in there and generate a really strong electromagnetic field and see what effect that has. If something's trying to drain energy for whatever reason, then let's just turn the tap up. Okay. Let's open the floodgates on it and see what happens.
Yeah.
We may try to get an RV truck, put it down to that tunnel.
Oh, camera not an RV.
Not an RV. I remote control.
I was like, sorry. What are you talking about?
Put a remote control thing down in that tunnel where we found those bones at Station 16.
Yeah, yeah.
And then hopefully we're going to get Martin Groves to take us into the area where he had his attack at.
Yeah.
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 So
so yeah, that's what we've got planned for our LBL mega expedition that's going to be coming up. We're not going to let anybody know when we're going, but we will be going there, and then we will have a bunch of videos for that.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of events, we got a big event coming up in June that we have made ourselves a part of.
Yeah.
So Small Town Monsters is presenting Monster Fest June 3rd in Canton, Ohio. We are sponsoring the event, so we will be there.
We'll be one of the sponsors of the event.
Yeah.
So we're not like,
we're a top level sponsor.
Yeah, but hey, Seth, there's a check. Knock yourself out. Just do it. We're a sponsor of the event.
Okay.
So I'm just saying. So.
Okay. Well, we're a sponsor of the event, but we're a top level sponsor because Hellbent Holler wants to support creators that we love. We love their content. We love what they do. We think the Monster Fest is going to be a huge success this year. It's their inaugural event. It's the first one they're doing, and we're going to be there. We're going to have a table. Actually, we get like 2 big tables, don't we? So we might have a little bit of like merch to sell or give away. I don't know. But mostly our table is going to be us hanging out.
Talking to people. Yeah. We're big like Seth Breedlove fans. We're really lucky to have Small Town Monsters cranking stuff out. I mean, he does like a wide range of stuff. He just did the American Werewolves thing, which is phenomenal. He does some really great stuff on UFOs. I mean, he takes even if he himself personally doesn't have any experience with that particular phenomenon, he takes a very fair approach and look to it. You know what I'm saying? And he turns out some really good stuff. And I think that it brings overall awareness to some of the weird stuff that's going on out there to a lot of people that maybe wouldn't otherwise be exposed to it. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean.
So that's going to be June 3rd, 2023 in Canton, Ohio. I think it's going to be at the Doubletree in downtown Canton. Oh, God. Hit my microphone there. It's going to be at the Doubletree in downtown Canton, Ohio. He's also doing a movie premiere that Friday before. So I think we're going to be at that too. But we will definitely be at the at Monster Fest. We're going to have a table there. So if you can make it out to Canton, Ohio, we'd love to meet y'all. Start planning now. That way you guys can come out and meet us and hang out with us. We might do some podcasting from there. I don't know. We haven't decided what we're going to do because we're not really like vendors of anything. We don't sell anything, but we're going to have kind of like the Hellbent Lounge, I guess. We're going to hang out. I think Martin might be coming. Dewey might be coming. And so it's going to be a good time, and it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a really, really good show. I know that Stan Gordon is speaking. Alexander Petikoff is going to be there. He's going to be giving a presentation, but it's great to really, really support creators that you enjoy their work. And it's really important that we support each other. I think that's one of the most important things. And we talk about this divide that gets pushed on a lot
of that bucket of crabs mentality that as soon as one crab starts to get up to the top, the other crabs drag it down. And Small Town Monsters have been really successful over the past year, and they kind of caught some flack because of it. And I'm going, hey man, anything that brings more awareness to this stuff and takes a serious look at it, I mean, we should be like cheering him on, you know? So we'll be there just kind of, again, not really to sell anything or make any money, but just to kind of be supportive of it and just be part of the first like Monster Fest at this point.
We wanted to sponsor that and be part of that. So we are one of the sponsors for that event. It is a weekend. It's a Saturday, June 3rd, I believe. So you guys start looking into that because we'd like to meet. We want to have like the Hellbenders get together. So I think that'd be pretty cool. We have a little Hellbender get together at Monster Fest. But I think we're going to wrap this up here, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people are jetting over to other streams.
Yeah.
It's Friday night. I think we want to get some rest because we got some work to do this weekend. But thank you for joining us for this very special.
Hey, and thanks for all the donations and all that.
Yeah,
again,
that's badass.
We've been humorous the whole time, but I'm dead serious. If I can get some gorilla urine, that's where that money is going to, and I will show you guys the results of what happens with it.
Hey, you got some of that? You got some of that gorilla pee?
I'm like a kid in a gorilla urine candy store. So anyway.
But thank you guys so much. So if you want to get tickets to Monster Fest, go to smalltownmonsters.com. Joe's going to put that in the chat right now, but it's smalltownmonsters.com. And there's a link at the top of his page, Seth's page. It's Monster Fest. You just do the whole thing. Yeah. So Joe's going to put that in the chat there so you guys can see where that's at. And, yeah, it's Canton, Ohio. It's pretty central to a lot of people.
Just I'm going to put that. Here we go. It's on the first page.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on.
All right. So, yeah, just if you want to check that out, we'd really like to see you guys. I think it would be very cool.
Matt, and again, we don't do real quick. Rob S. Okay, Joe, you guys should remember me as one of your first subscribers. Yeah, you've been with us from pretty much the get-go. No BS. This email could be dangerous to you. Many still unknown powerful people in dark groups say yes.
And I will.
And I will. Yes. Please send me that email for it.
Yes.
Please send me that email. And I just put this link to Small Town Monsters guys in there. Check it out. Like, again, whenever we end up doing one of these things, and we don't do a lot of them just because we don't have time for it, but we basically, if it's anything like the previous ones, we have our equipment set up just for people to kind of look at it, kind of see the stuff that we use and we talk about.
Yeah.
And then we just stand there and just talk to people.
Yeah, we're there to.
We're not pushing our tchotchkes or
But we yeah, we'll have a lot of equipment. We'll bring some equipment with us, so you can check out our equipment, see how it works. You know, but it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a blast, and we love doing it. We're very happy to support creators that are really making a difference and really making some really cool stuff. And we're lucky to have Small Town Monsters. And we are happy to support them in any way we can.
Oh, Jesus.
The urine is in the mail. Did you see that somebody said the way to Joe's heart is through pee?
I'm trying to get them all in here because we're getting pure comedy gold on this chat.
Pure comedy gold.
Hey, guys, this was actually a ton of fun.
Yeah, this is a really fun stream.
Absolutely great.
Make sure you hit that like button before you exit stage left.
If you don't mind, like it. And if you watch the video later on, maybe comment in there. We're trying to... Obviously, this is like a labor of love for us, but we would like to, the bigger audience we have, the more contacts we have, the more people we've got sharing information with us,
the more stories we get,
stories that we get, the more accounts, the more contacts we get in different parts of the country,
tips and leads.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. So we'd really like to try to grow this and try to like really start to like kind of go up in the numbers, but we're never going to be one of those channels that just sits around and tells like stories. So
my goal is by Monster Fest to have 10,000 subscribers. So if you guys could share our content, get that in front of some more eyeballs, help me reach that goal, that would be amazing. I'd be so appreciative of that. That means a lot. That's one of the best ways you can support Hellbent Holler. That's one of the best ways you could support what we do is by sharing it. Be the share you want to see in the world. Share the love and share Hellbent Holler. Get us out there in front of your friends and family and anybody you know. Hit them over the head with Hellbent Holler.
Because we don't really do a lot of clickbaity stuff.
Yeah.
We're kind of weird. I mean, clickbait channels don't usually do stuff on the diabolical hypothesis or sit around and trying to make homemade like guerrilla lore. So any help that we can get to kind of spread this, we need it at this point.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the goal is 10K by Monster Fest June 3rd. So let's hit that goal, everybody. But yeah, we're gonna call it a night. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining. And Inky just came in. Hey, just joining. Well, you have to rewind and watch it all over from the beginning. It's comedy gold all day. It's lots of pee talk. So there's that.
Anyway, all right, guys. Hey, this ended up being what a way to wrap the year up.
This is our last show of 2022.
Yeah, we really enjoy getting on and like just kind of shooting the breeze with you guys and staying interactive with the chat. And we were kind of, at least I was a little hesitant to start doing the live streams. And it's ended up becoming like the highlight of our week generally. So
yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So
it's been a lot of fun.
Happy New Year to everybody out there, man.
Guys,
so
we love y'all.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much.
And one more thing before we get off, Stingray 1975, email us if you don't mind, and drop us a line. Anyway, guys, we are wrapping up. Everybody have a really good New Year. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. And as always, guys, we're gonna leave up the chat and everything so you guys can say goodbye to each other. I know how you hellbenders like to do your goodbyes and everything. But thank you guys for joining us on another Hell Bent Holler live stream. As always, y'all are the best. I'm clicking around here like a crazy person. Okay. All right, guys. We love you.
We're out.
You're wonderful.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.